What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3FM. Chapter 66 The Nemesis of the Capable Person. Open black lens bracket for collection. Close black lens bracket. At the same time as the voice fell, a huge stream of water suddenly appeared in the sky and rushed down towards the ground. This is the seawater imagined by Luo Ning. The liquid itself is the nemesis of Lockdoll, not to mention the seawater falling down now. Not only Clockadar, but other ability users will be affected. Moreover, the amount of sea water is really terrifying, as if a huge hole has leaked in the sky, the sea water is constantly flowing down. So much sea water fell, everyone was stunned, and they didn't even react, and then they were submerged by sea water. There are quite a few capable people in Locke's hands, and when they encountered such sea water, they rushed to the street collectively. As for Robin, Luo Ning directly grabbed him with Reiatsu's big hand. After all, Robin is also a capable person. I have no strength. Lockdoll's ability has completely failed, and now the sea water is simply double restraint to him. Even now he can't resist the impact of the current. Please do me a favor, let me try it out. Luo Ning directly scooped up several capable users including Lockdoll, then opened the opponent's mouth, and poured a lot of seawater down. Luo Ning was very curious. If the sea water touched them, they would definitely lose their abilities. So what about pouring them down? Is there any effect? Luo Ning poured a lot of seawater down the few people without the power to resist. After the seawater below was completely empty, Luo Ning threw these people on the ground. And these people, just like those who were soaked in the seawater just now, have no strength and look sick. It seems to be useful. Seeing that Lockdoll and others couldn't get back together, Luo Ning also shook his head. He didn't understand why no one worked hard on this. Mixing seawater or seastone with food and the like can easily capture those ability users. Marine can use this trick to deal with 4 emperors. After all, Marine's family has a big business, and they can completely start with the opponent's food. Sure enough, many methods that can be used to deal with capable people have not been exposed in the comics. After all, if there are too many methods and the capable person is too weak, then becoming a capable person is a scam. Otherwise, let's not talk too much. Gas bombs can be made, but what about seawater bombs? Atomize the seawater, so that if you inhale it through breathing, even if the amount is not much, the ability user will not completely lose power. But it can also restrain the opponent's ability, which is needless to say. Don't stare at me like that. Okay, you guys are pirates, I'm not wrong to target pirates, and Clockadar, do you think you can hide anything you've done in this country? In fact, in terms of your aptitude, if you practice hard these years, let alone Whitebeard, at least your strength can be improved to a higher level, and it won't be the same as it is now. Luo Ning shook his head. He didn't plan to kill Lock, he planned to bring back Impel Down. Killing this guy is not good. For these madmen, locking them up is more uncomfortable than killing them. In the end, Clockadar was sent to the warship by Luo Ning and imprisoned. After seeing the warship, Robin was terrified immediately. Are you from Marine? Advertisement. Robin felt that Luo Ning should have come to arrest him. Marine, I'm not one of those guys, I just live in Impel Down. As for Marine and world government, don't worry. With my power to catch you, it's impossible for you to run away, and there's no need for me to deceive you. Aren't you interested in historical texts? There is a piece of historical text hidden in this country, let's go, let's take you to see it. Luo Ning shook his head, and Robin was taken aback after hearing this, and then the fear quickly subsided. Indeed, in terms of Luo Ning's ability to easily defeat Lockdoll and others, taking her down is no different from eating and drinking, so she doesn't feel that Luo Ning has to deceive her now. And now she pays more attention to the historical text. With the compass, even if Luo Ning doesn't know the specific location of the historical text, he can easily find this thing, let alone Luo Ning knows the location of this piece, which is in the funeral hall of Alabasta. Even he can go directly to the final place, but it's boring, Luo Ning is not interested in that place. If he has time, he may go there. Soon the group arrived at the location of the main text of the history, during which Luo Ning directly concealed the 3 of them, so no one noticed their arrival at all. It really is a historical text, this is. Robin almost read the content subconsciously, but when she saw that it contained Pluton's information, she just shut up. The location of Pluton, right. In fact, even if there is still a finished product of Pluton, it is probably almost scrapped. After all, it has been so many years. You don't have to be so defensive. What I said to Clockadar before is actually true. Except for Uranus, I don't know what it is. The other 2, I know the location of the blueprint of Pluton, and I know the location of Poseidon. You should know what Poseidon means after reading the historical text of Sky Island. Shirahoshi, the mermaid princess of this generation of Poseidon, has not yet fully awakened, and her character is a little weaker, so awakening is almost useless. For Shirahoshi, the Poseidon, Luo Ning shook his head. Unless he is completely controlled by someone, Shirahoshi's ability is equivalent to empty talk. You know these things. You can also understand the text of history. Robin was startled. She didn't expect Luo Ning to really know, she thought Luo Ning was teasing Lockdoll. I don't understand, but I just know that the meaning of these historical texts is not very important. Luo Ning looked at this boulder and shook his head. This is very important. The historical text is something that the world government has always wanted to eliminate. It shows that this thing can threaten the world government, and even make them not hesitate to launch a buster call in Ohara. Why do you still say that the historical text is not important? Robin asked with some puzzlement, how could something that the world government is actively trying to eliminate be unimportant? You think that the text of history can threaten the world government, so you think this thing is very important, but as long as the world government is overthrown, the meaning of the text of history is only to explain history. Explain what happened to the blank 100 years. For most people, it doesn't matter at all. Luo Ning shook his head. As long as the revolutionary army successfully overthrows the world government, this thing will only have historical value. Of course, the four coordinates are different. Chapter 67 The arrival of Zephyr open black lens bracket favorite close black lens bracket. The four coordinates mark the location of the final place. Roger set off the era of great voyages back then. This craze may be suppressed and weakened before the true face of the treasure is revealed, but it will never disappear. Luo Ning doesn't have the slightest affection for Roger. To be honest, if Roger is still alive, maybe Luo Ning will choose to kill this guy without hesitation when he sees this guy. Since Roger started the age of great voyages to the present, the number of people killed is innumerable. It is said that his purpose is to let people go to sea to pursue this secret, and then overthrow the world government, but is it useful? He already knew this secret, but he didn't tell it, but let the people behind pursue it. He thinks that he dislikes the trend of this era, so many pirates will bring great trouble to the world government. But he was completely wrong. In this era, 99% of the victims are still civilians. The world government cares the least about civilians. With the power of the world government, is it difficult to clean up the four emperors? It's not difficult, let alone four emperors have their own ideas. However, the world government did not do this. Instead, it maintained a balance, because only when there are enough pirates can the role of marine and the role of world government be displayed. Roger's behavior seemed to be causing trouble for the world government and making people pursue this secret, but the result was that the world government grew even more terrifying in this short period of time. To be honest, Luo Ning didn't know what was in the final land, but no matter what it was, in Luo Ning's consciousness, it basically did not cause any harm to the world government. How long has passed since the blank 100 years? How many generations have passed? What if it is announced now? It's better to learn from other people's dragons. They also know how to do some practical things instead of just adding chaos. In contrast, Roger's behavior has really accelerated the growth of the world government, while the dragons are making revolutions in the hell-level difficulty created by Roger. The gap between the two is clear at a glance. What Luo Ning said made Robin unable to refute it. It is true. They are very clear about history. It is very good for people in this era to live a good life. You don't have to pay too much attention to what I said, this thing has completely different meanings to you, we are not in the same position after all. Seeing Robin lost in thought, Luo Ning reminded that this thing is useless to them, but it has a completely different meaning to Robin. Robin has been looking for these things during his escape, why? Because this is Robin's sustenance, her means of revenge. What Robin hates most is the world government, and once these historical texts are deciphered, they can cause a lot of trouble for the world government, so Robin chooses to do this. If this goal is lost, maybe Robin will not be alive now. That's right, for me, these historical texts are very important. Robin also nodded, and after reading the historical text here, the three of them left without needing to record, because the content had already been recorded in Robin's mind. Robin is quite smart and has a great memory, otherwise he wouldn't have become a scholar at the age of 8. Robin also joined Luo Ning, but this joining is only temporary. Of course, as time goes by, Robin will also know that only Luo Ning can protect her. By the way, I have a question for you. Why don't you ask the Revolutionary Army to join them? It's much safer there than Lok Dar. Luo Ning was a little curious. The Revolutionary Army has always referred to Robin as a guiding light. After all, Robin was a great help for them to overthrow the world government, but Robin has never been in contact with the Revolutionary Army. The risk is too great, and I can't trust them. Robin answered this question very simply. He has been betrayed and betrayed all the time, which made Robin unable to trust anyone at all. Advertisement. The current trust in Luo Ning is still based on the historical text and absolute strength revealed by Luo Ning. Of course, this kind of trust is just a very simple basic trust. Robin's heart is too closed. Luo Ning never thought that he could pry open Robin's heart so easily. Looking at the overall situation, the entire Straw Hat Pirates, Robin's chapters span several large scenes in succession, from Alabasta to Annie's lobby, this span is very huge. Luffy and others also tried their best to pry open Robin's heart. The risk is indeed not small. Luo Ning didn't continue to ask, Robin was afraid that the Revolutionary Army would use him to make troubles. After all, it was a big force and was regarded as a thorn in the side of the world government. World government's suppression of the Revolutionary Army is even more obvious. Rather than staying with a force that may be destroyed at any time, it is better to stay with Lok Dar. Although it is equally dangerous, the risk is definitely much smaller. Afterwards, Luo Ning plans to stay in Alabasta for a few days. Although it is a desert country, it also has some nice scenic spots. So he also planned to stay and play. By the way, Robin handed over some of Locke's incriminating evidence to Cobra. In this way, Clockadar's conspiracy will dissipate, and the turmoil in this country will be completely calmed down after a little time. Of course, the premise is that there is no external force involved. If the world government comes to make trouble again, it will be bad. After Luo Ning and others played for a week, they suddenly received a message from a naval ship at sea. Zephyr. Because of Weibel, the content of the message is that Zephyr has come to Alabasta. Who is Zephyr? Nami asked curiously. Marine's predecessor, Admiral, is now the chief instructor of the recruit. Before Luo Ning could speak, Robin spoke first. During this time, she got along well with Luo Ning and Nami. Marine's former admiral, why is he looking for us all of a sudden? Nami asked with some doubts. They were all listening to the phone bug when they were talking, and knew that the purpose of Zephyr's coming here this time was to meet Luo Ning. Because I helped him deal with the trouble before, I guess I came to thank you this time. Naturally, Luo Ning knew what Zephyr was doing, and quickly returned to the warship with Nami and Robin. There was another ship beside the warship, which was also a warship, but this warship was not for combat, but a recruit training ship. What an exaggerated mechanical arm. Nami was attracted by Zephyr's mechanical arm the moment he saw it. After all, this kind of mechanical arm is too rare. Chapter 68 Digging the corner of marine open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. One of Zephyr's arms was cut off by someone, and then it was replaced with a mechanical arm like this. The guy who cut off Zephyr's arm is actually the second idiot named Weibel that I killed before. Luo Ning briefly talked about the situation of Zephyr. Nice to meet, Mr. Zephyr. After meeting Zephyr, Luo Ning greeted him. You must know that before he said that Zephyr was cruel, he didn't seem to kill him, but he was ruthless by everyone. Nice meeting, Mr. Luo Ning. The old man came here this time to thank you. Zephyr also got straight to the point. At the same time, Ain and Binzi behind him both bowed to Luo Ning. This is not because Luo Ning is a strong person, but because Luo Ning helped them avenge, and they actually couldn't avenge Weibel. Zephyr himself knew that he was no longer his opponent. With one missing arm and asthma, Zephyr is not very effective now. As for Ain and Binzi, only Ain's ability is better, as for other aspects, they are very good. It's because of Weibel. In fact, you don't need to thank you. The reason why I killed that guy is because he provoked me, and I didn't like him. It's that simple. Luo Ning said, it seems that you know a lot about us, but no matter what, I have to thank you for killing that monster, and replace those recruits who were killed by them back then. Zephyr doesn't hate him because his arm was cut off. 90% of his hatred for Weibel is because only 2 of the marine recruits were killed. As the chief instructor, he couldn't protect these recruits well. In his opinion, it was his own fault and his own responsibility. That's why he deliberately came to Luo Ning to thank him this time. You are really different from other marines. Marines like you are becoming rarer and rarer. You must know that most marines will do everything for the sake of face. Zephyr is daring, and except for wanting to blow up New World, which is more brain dead and extreme, other aspects are fine. Ha 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 ha. That's right, those bastards will do everything just for the sake of face, even taking credit for the pirates. Zephyr couldn't help laughing. Anyway, he doesn't have any job right now, so he can just go home and take care of himself, and he is extremely unhappy with what Marine is doing now. Luffy isn't the first pirate to be robbed of credit. Most of the pirates are burning, killing and looting, but some of them are forced to become pirates by Marines. This is what happened to Luo Ning, although Luo Ning did not intend to be a pirate. However, in Marine's eyes, the nature is the same anyway, and these pirates do some beneficial things, and they will be directly swallowed by Marine. Zephyr is getting more and more displeased with the current Marine, and gets upset when he sees it. Mr. Zephyr, do you want to jump ship and come to my side? Luo Ning suddenly jumped out, planning to dig Zephyr to the big prison. The big prison has been regarded as his own territory, and as it continues to grow, a Magellan is too shabby to be honest. As for Shiryu, Magellan will attack him sooner or later. Shiryu cannot be kept, so Luo Ning intends to poach some corners. In addition to Zephyr, Fujitora and the like are also good candidates. Advertisement. As far as the old man knows, you should have no influence. Zephyr glanced at Luo Ning in surprise, and then said. In terms of power, in fact, I have already regarded Impel Down as my power. Marine will have a fight with me sooner or later, including the world government. I plan to make Impel Down the real world's largest prison, even the celestial dragons dare to catch it. Luo Ning looked at Zephyr and said this sentence. Luo Ning didn't know much about his plan to capture celestial dragons. Sengoku didn't say anything, and Magellan and others were also given a gag order. Zephyr didn't know either. Hearing this now, Zephyr was stunned. He was also unhappy with celestial dragons, and almost attacked celestial dragons when he was young, but because of celestial dragons' identity and his own identity, he held back. In his opinion, the celestial dragons are indeed the biggest garbage in the sea, but these garbage cannot move. You're going to attack celestial dragons. You're out of your mind. Zephyr now thinks that Luo Ning is crazy. Luo Ning is just a person, and he dared to do such a thing. It is simply outrageous to the extreme. Once Luo Ning does such a thing, it will be a full-scale war with the world government. Zephyr doesn't know how deep the water in the world government is. It's normal to have such thoughts, but you've overlooked one point. World government and I are mortal enemies. A war between us is bound to happen, and what I do is just to control the time when it happens. Luo Ning shook his head, and then Zephyr was also taken aback. Indeed, now Luo Ning is extremely risky on Marine's side, already on the same level as 4 emperors, and Marine will not let Luo Ning go. Instead of letting Marine find Luo Ning's weakness, it is better to be direct. Luo Ning directly ignites the fuse and controls the rhythm in his own hands. Although that's what you said, do you want to rely on your own strength to compete against the entire world government? Zephyr doesn't think anyone can touch world government. Of course, after all, I don't like them either. Luo Ning said indifferently. In this case, let's wait until after this battle is over. My life is not so important, but I still have many soldiers who plan to follow me. It's impossible for me to let them follow you to die. When this battle is over, if you win, I promise to help you. If you lose, this matter will be ignored. Zephyr said that he needs to see Luo Ning's strength clearly. Is Luo Ning a lunatic who intends to hit a stone with an egg, or Luo Ning has absolute confidence and can defeat the world government? If it's the latter, then he doesn't mind going all out to follow Luo Ning. He is displeased with all the pirates, all the criminals, existences like celestial dragons are the biggest criminals. Luo Ning has really resisted the pressure, then there is no doubt that following Luo Ning can indeed bring justice. At least it's justice that he looks pleasing to the eye, not Marine's current justice. Regarding Zephyr's statement, Luo Ning didn't say much. Zephyr's behavior is actually quite normal. Anyone with a little brain would not follow Luo Ning to do this kind of thing. So Luo Ning doesn't think that Zephyr is a fool. After all, his behavior is indeed no different from that of a lunatic from the perspective of normal thinking. Chapter 69 Marine's shameless behavior open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Ha 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 ha, Marine is getting more and more shameless. After leaving Alabasta's warship, Luo Ning couldn't help laughing as he looked at the newspaper in his hand. Marine continued his usual style. After Cobra's evidence was released, Marine also received the news. In order to stabilize the world government and their own face in time, they made consistent operations. Kick Lakadar out of the ranks of Shichibukai directly, and give the credit to Zephyr. Yes, Zephyr. Although Zephyr went to Alabasta a week after the incident, this did not prevent Marine from making such an operation. Anyway, as long as the discussion is in your own hands, you can change the time at will, and no one pays attention to when Zephyr left Naval Headquarters and when he arrived in Alabasta. How could Marine do this? Obviously, this incident has nothing to do with Marine, and it's even because of their connivance that Clockdar made such an incident. Newspapers are also available in Alabasta. Looking at the contents, Princess Vivi's lungs are about to explode. They have never seen such a shameless person who defeated K. Lockdar. They all know that it is Luo Ning, although Luo Ning did not deliberately publicize, but such a warship is parked on the coast. Others saw that K. Lockdal and others were escorted onto the boat, and after asking the people on board, they knew that Luo Ning had done it. Calm down, this is just Marine's consistent operation. Mr. Luo Ning is not from Marine, so it is normal for such things to happen. Marine must maintain its positive image. Cobra didn't make a fuss, after all, he knew the usual style of world government and Marine. Damn it, can you just look at it like this? Wei Wei is extremely annoyed now, but finds that she can't do anything. We can only watch. After all, we don't have the strength to fight against the world government. Even if we announce the truth, we will only be suppressed by the world government, so we can't do anything. Cobra sighed and said that even though he was helpless, he had no other choice. On the other side, on Zephyr's warship, Zephyr was extremely angry at the moment, even a big hole was hammered out of the deck by Zephyr, and he had already taken out the phone bug and went directly to Sengoku. You are also a member of Marine, you know it's useless to lose your temper with me. After the call bug was connected, before Zephyr spoke, Sengoku's voice came directly, which made Zephyr's face even more contorted. Indeed, he knew this when he was a Marine admiral. This is Marine's usual practice. Although he was very upset, the matter did not fall on his head at the beginning, so he didn't say much. But now he never imagined that one day he would become a person who takes credit from others. Why is it me? Zephyr, suppressing his anger, asked. The only suitable Marine in Alabasta is you. Sengoku is also helpless. Because it is the territory of Clockadar, there are not many Marines at all. They are all miscellaneous soldiers. If you want to defeat Clockadar, you will naturally need a Marine with some strength. The only thing there that met the standard was Zephyr, so he had to push Zephyr out. Hole. Advertisement. Zephyr punched down angrily, and there was another hole in the deck, and the poor phone bug was directly smashed by this punch. It can only be said that the luck of this phone bug is really not very good. Teacher, please calm down. If this continues, our boat will not be able to hold on. It was rare for Ain and Bins to see Zephyr lose his temper like this, but now was not the time to lose his temper. After a few knocks, the boat would fall apart. You don't need to tell me, just do what you should do. Zephyr could only go back to the cabin and sulk. As for the other recruits, under the command of Ain and Bins, they simply repaired the holes on the deck, at least allowing the ship to support to the island where the ship can be repaired. Repair ships. Clockadar was arrested, and he wants to get his hands on Pluton. This guy is really arrogant. Doflamingo couldn't help but sneer when he read the content in the newspaper. He only had one comment on Q****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** attention to things like ancient weapon. K-Lock Doll actually wants to get involved in this kind of thing, it can only be said that he is courting death. Even if K-Lock Doll finds Pluton, even Pluton that can be used, K-Lock Doll will not be able to stop the world government, and will be easily taken down. At that time, everything will be a wedding dress for others. Dover, do you think Marine will attack us? This is the first time Shichibukai has had an accident since its establishment, and Torrebel is worried that Marine will also do something to them. Don't worry, they don't dare. Marine doesn't dare to mess around with what I have in my hand. Doflamingo doesn't care, he's not K-Lock Doll, he won't touch the bottom line, plus the chips in his hand, the world government will let him indulge. In addition, he still has a certain relationship with Kaido, and he has many arms and weapons in the world. This huge network of relationships is Marine's whole card that cannot touch him. If it weren't for Luffy and others in the original book, Fujitora would not have killed Doflamingo. Although Fujitora has a strong sense of justice, he also knows that Doflamingo is involved too much, so he can only fight against Doflamingo in another way. Even released a sea of water. Makes sense. The other cadres breathed a sigh of relief, as long as Marine didn't dare to touch them. Although the power they operate is very large, they are still nothing in front of Marine. They can defeat them all with just one admiral. At the same time, other Shichibukai except Jinbei have also received relevant news, and it is not easy for this news to spread to the Fishman Island. However, few people cared about it, and more of them laughed at the fact that K-Lock doll was caught. As for the four emperors, it's just a Shichibukai, no one cares about it at all. The significance of Shichibukai's existence is to fight against the four emperors, but anyone with a discerning eye knows that Shichibukai is completely incomparable with the four emperors, that is, the existence of eagle eyes and bears is estimated to enter the eyes of the four emperors. As for the others, they are nothing to the four emperors, so the matter of K-Lock Dar did not cause any disturbance in New World. Chapter 70 Going to Sabayati Archipelago Open black lens bracket Favorites close black lens bracket. Damn, that maniac went to the Sabayati Archipelago. Sengoku, who got the whereabouts of Luo Ning, had his eyelids twitching wildly at the moment. If Luo Ning went to the Sabayati Archipelago in the past, he would not be so frightened, but Luo Ning said that he wanted to catch the celestial dragons and go to Impel Down. And where is the Sabayati Archipelago? It is a place where celestial dragons often appear. Since it is not far from the Red Line and the economy is developed, celestial dragons often appear in Sabayati Archipelago. What is Luo Ning doing in Sabayati Archipelago now? In short, Sengoku was a little terrified. If Luo Ning really attacked celestial dragons, the consequences would be completely unimaginable for Sengoku. It's really troublesome. Now even Crane has classified Luo Ning as a madman. A madman in One Piece world can do anything when he is crazy. Allah, it's really scary. Is this guy really planning to move the celestial dragons? There is also a Kizaru in the office. After a long period of pain, Aokiji's combat strength was damaged. Originally, Sengoku thought that even if Aokiji could not recover, he would become numb after a long period of time and gradually adapt to this pain. But he doesn't understand soul trauma at all. Even Aokiji's willpower is a bit weak in the face of soul trauma. As time goes by, Aokiji's condition is getting worse and worse. Poor Salino. Next you go to Sabayati Archipelago to garrison. Remember, don't have any conflict with him, unless he does something to celestial dragons. Sengoku was also helpless. He didn't want to fight Luo Ning unless it was a last resort. He didn't know what his weakness was, and he couldn't understand it at all. Even with so many brains, it was useless. Now they are blind to Luo Ning's abilities. I see, it's really troublesome. Kizaru nodded. He also knew the seriousness of the matter this time. To put it bluntly, Sengoku asked him to be the bodyguard of the celestial dragons. If Luo Ning attacked the celestial dragons, Kizaru had to restrain them. Luo Ning's strength is very strong, but Kizaru's speed is the most terrifying. Even if Luo Ning can't be restrained, he can still run with celestial dragons. Call Garp and the others back, and Sakazuki too, we must prepare early. After Kizaru left the anti-nausea, Crane spoke, and there may be a big battle next. Luo Ning's strength and ability are very terrifying, so all strength must be deployed now. Of course I know. I hope I don't get to this point. This marshal is really hard to be. Maybe I will step down this time. Sengoku shook his head, then went to contact Garp and the others. Sengoku only summoned high-level combat forces, and the others were not on the ground. Facing Luo Ning, Vice Admiral and the others were just delivering food. Sengoku was also very helpless in the way of cleaning up miscellaneous soldiers similar to Conqueror's Haki. Instead of letting the people below deliver the food, it's better not to go in the first place. Marine's side has already started a general mobilization, and Luo Ning's trip to the Sabayati Archipelago this time is also planning to attack the celestial dragons. You two go to Sky Island for a while, the next thing is not suitable for you to participate in. Luo Ning really intends to take action against celestial dragons this time. Nami and Robin are undoubtedly two oil bottles, and sending them to Sky Island is the best choice. There is an avatar in Kokoja village, and it's useless for Vice Admiral to go there. As for Admiral, how could Marine send Admiral to Kokoja village? Even Vice Admiral probably wouldn't be able to. Are you really going to take on the celestial dragons? Advertisement. Robin looked at Luo Ning with some confusion, she never thought that anyone would dare to attack celestial dragons. I have planned this for a long time. To be honest, I think it is too early to find you. I should go to you after I have dealt with this matter. However, the situation on Nami's side is not very good, so I can go to Nami first. By the way, I also brought you here, but it's not a big problem. As long as you go to Sky Island, that place can be easily accessed except for Kizaru. It's a perfect refuge for everyone else. Luo Ning said with a smile, and then bid farewell to the two. Nami is basically Luo Ning's person, so she was very worried about Luo Ning, but Robin didn't say much, although they got along well for a while. But she didn't completely regard Luo Ning as her own, but going to places like Sky Island seemed good to Robin. At an altitude of 10,000 meters, basically no one can go there. Afterwards, the two were taken away from the warship by two clones of Luo Ning and headed to Sky Island. The jailers on the warship didn't know what Luo Ning was talking to Nami Robin. After all, the distance was a bit far away, and the information they reported was limited to what they knew. But seeing Luo Ning's avatar leaving with Nami and Robin, they also knew it was a big deal. Otherwise, how could Luo Ning send people away? As for where they went, they don't know, but the news was quickly reported to Sengoku. Have Nico, Robin and Nami been sent away? Damn, this guy is going to come for real. Sengoku's previous defense was just in case, but now Luo Ning's behavior is equivalent to hiding his worries. In this case, Luo Ning must do something big. Sengoku quickly reported the situation to 5 elders, which is the best option now. We already know that the high-level marine forces directly intercepted this guy at sea. The 5 elders have already reacted. Since Luo Ning intends to attack the celestial dragons, are they going to let Luo Ning land on the Subordinate archipelago? It's better to intercept the opponent halfway and kill them directly. I see. Sengoku's face was a bit complicated. All of Marine's high-end combat power was deployed, and it was only to deal with one person. Counting the time, both Garp and Sakazuki will be back in time. Garp had only to cross the comm belt on his way back from the East Blue. In order to find Robin, Luo Ning went to Alabasta, which is not close. Sengoku ordered the guards on Luo Ning's ship to slow down, so that it was enough for Marine to gather enough strength. The gathering of high-end forces on Marine's side also made a lot of noise. After all, Marine's family has a big business. With such a transfer, all the people staring at Marine rushed over like sharks smelling blood. Sengoku was also helpless, and he did not disclose the news. After all, Luo Ning is not a big pirate like Whitebeard. Although it is okay to put a hat on Luo Ning's head, it is somewhat far-fetched, and so many high-level Marines are fighting against one person, it would be ridiculous to say so Sengoku did not disclose the news, and even launched the Marines' power plan block messages. Chapter 71 Interception of Marines High-Level Combat Power Open Black Lens Bracket for Collection Close Black Lens Bracket. You called me back before I arrived at the Subordinate archipelago. Are you sure you want to start a war this time? Kizaru looked at Sengoku helplessly and asked. He had received a call from Sengoku before he arrived at Subordinate archipelago just now, and what was supposed to be a precaution has now turned into a war. He was recalled again, and this time it was Marine's top brass. Marshal, why didn't you summon the Shichibukai? Guillaume couldn't help asking. Now that Naval Headquarters high-level combat power has gathered in the conference hall, and they all know that they are going to fight each other, but shouldn't this be the time to use Shichibukai? No, Shichibukai cannot be summoned. This time, our Marine is not dealing with any pirate group from the 4 emperors, but a single person, just Luo Ning. Although Luo Ning's strength is no less than that of the 4 emperors, but all the Marine executives are dispatched to deal with one person. It's just that our own internal people know that we won't leak too much information. Shichibukai is not one of our people. Furthermore, it's too late to summon the Shichibukai now. Sengoku shook his head. Although the Shichibukai are part of the battle force, the harm of calling them now outweighs the benefits. This matter can be said that their Marine is already very embarrassed, so naturally they can't invite outsiders. Moreover, the positions of Shichibukai are relatively separated. In this case, if they are summoned, they have to be found, otherwise they will not be able to call anyway, just like the phone bug Hancock. Time is running out, so why bother looking for any Shichibukai, and if Marine's high-level combat power can't deal with the opponent, then looking for Shichibukai is also sending food. After discussing with Suru, Sengoku has decided not to call Shichibukai for this matter. After listening to Sengoku's words, the others also nodded. Indeed, this matter is not honorable, and the key is that the other party has not done anything to celestial dragons. This situation also summoned Shichibukai, and their Marine's face was really lost at all. The content of the meeting was not much. To put it bluntly, it was to study how to deal with Luo Ning. It was not the first time that this kind of meeting was held. Almost all high-level officials knew about Luo Ning's situation. But no matter how hard he researched, he couldn't figure out Luo Ning's ability. As long as Luo Ning didn't tell, his ability would be impossible to be discovered. Just like that, time passed day by day, and Naval Headquarters did not disturb anyone else. After all, only high-level combat power was useful in dealing with Luo Ning, so the normal operation of Marine remained unchanged. Can Garp make it to the assembly location? After boarding the ship, Sengoku questioned the Marine Herald. Vice Admiral Garp's expected arrival in time. The Herald quickly informed Sengoku of the situation. As for Akainu, since the distance is not far away, Akainu came back quite quickly. It's just that Akainu's bad temper is what Sengoku hates the most. He lost his temper when he came back, which also gave Sengoku a headache, but Akainu is the hardest working one among several admirals. As that guy really as powerful as you say? At this moment, on the warship, Akainu looked at the people around him and asked. If you ask me about this kind of thing, how would I know? After all, I've only heard about it. By the way, don't you believe it when you see Kuzan like this? I heard that even Vice Admiral Garp was beaten up and his face was bruised, okay. Terrible. Kizaru said inconspicuously on the side. His tone once made Akainu want to punch Magma, but seeing that everyone was a colleague, he held back. Don't underestimate that guy. That guy doesn't know armament Haki, but he has a way to deal with us, and this way is almost driving me crazy. Advertisement. Aokiji was also beside him, but his spirit was very sluggish, and he couldn't adapt to the severe pain, which kept torturing his nerves. The reason why he followed this time was not for fighting, but because of his ability. Sengoku doesn't need Aokiji in this state to participate in the battle, he needs Aokiji to create a field where he can fight. After all, there are too many high-level abilities in Marine, and someone like Kizaru who can fly around in the sky can't affect him, but the biggest problem is that other people can't. So this requires Aokiji to create the battlefield. In front of him, don't get close, and don't elementize unless you have to. Although I don't know how he kept this severe pain, it has something to do with my elementalization at that time. His attack hit my elemental body, and the penetrating position happened to be where the severe pain came from. Aokiji also had some guesses of his own, so he warned the two of them. But such warnings are actually useless. On the one hand, they should not get close, and on the other hand, they should try not to be elementalized, but Luo Ning's ability is too weird, and the result of not being elementalized may be the first two ghost spiders. Although long distance is possible, but people can fly and the speed is extremely fast, so Luo Ning has almost no solution. This is also the reason why Sengoku has never wanted to fight Luo Ning, it is too unsolvable, so unsolvable that he doesn't know how to start. The only way is to delay time, but Luo Ning is unwilling to give them enough time, and plans to do something to celestial dragons. Let's see if he can block my magma. Akainu's eyes were full of murderous intent at this moment, although he knew that Aokiji would not deceive himself and others about this kind of thing, but Akainu himself was arrogant, and people just don't believe in evil. Many people will choose to try it even if they hear the other party say that there is nothing they can do. This is human nature. It's not distrust, but a kind of confidence in yourself. Akainu has already read some information, but he doesn't think the other party is really so ignorant, such an ignorant person. Akainu has never seen it, even the four emperors are not as mysterious as Aokiji and the others said. Seeing Akainu's appearance, Aokiji also knows that this guy does not believe in evil, and he can only hope that Akainu can listen to what he said, at least not to act blindly. In this way, several warships headed for the assembly point, and the warship that Luo Ning was on was also heading in this direction. Sengoku, how is your arrangement with East Blue? Crane and Sengoku are discussing another matter. I originally gave this task to Smoker, but that kid has a strong sense of justice and rejected me directly, and even scolded me in the phone bug. Sengoku didn't know what to say. What they were talking about now was about Kokoja village. Although Nami was sent away, Kokoja village couldn't be sent away, so Sengoku contacted Smoker before and asked him to temporarily control it. People from Kokoja village. Chapter 72 Taunting Akainu open black lens bracket for collection close black lens bracket. Although Sengoku gave the order, Smoker didn't intend to listen. He asked why, but Sengoku told him to just follow orders, which made Smoker unacceptable. Because of the matter of Arlong and Colonel Mouse, Smoker checked the situation of Kokoja village to the bottom. Coupled with the information obtained when the prisoners were handed over, Smoker can naturally judge that Kokoja village is the victim. Now Sengoku wants him to control a group of victims, and for no reason. In the original book, the credit for letting Smoker eat Luffy and others has made Smoker extremely disgusted, but it has not touched the bottom line. But this time, it touched Smoker's bottom line, allowing Smoker to control a group of civilians, which is equivalent to constantly trampling on Smoker's justice. So this time Smoker directly disobeyed, even swearing at Sengoku directly, and then hung up the phone bug. Smoker was already prepared for his hat to be taken off. But after that, there was no further news from Sengoku. He is a person with a strong sense of justice, even if his strength is a little weaker, he is still a talent. Crane also commented on Smoker after listening. That's right, there are not many people who dare to scold me on the phone bug. This kid really has a sense of justice. Although I can't say anything about this kid, I asked people from other branches of Marine to go there. Sengoku didn't plan to hold Smoker accountable, after all, it was their problem to speak out about it. Although Sengoku didn't intend to really touch the people in Kokoja village, but only planned to use these people to threaten Luo Ning, it is impossible for Smoker to do such a thing. Don't use such means unless it is absolutely necessary, you should be clear about it. Crane said, of course I know this kind of thing better than you, unless it is absolutely necessary. Sengoku knows very well that once the bottom line is broken, the consequences will be serious, and Marine will become even worse with no bottom line, but he has no choice, right? Time passed quickly, and before Luo Ning came to the Marine connection point, Garp also arrived. For this matter, Garp has nothing to do, and he can't say anything about Sengoku. After all, it is Luo Ning who intends to attack the celestial dragons, which itself is an unsolvable matter. Sengoku is the world government, it is impossible to watch the celestial dragons have an accident, and the unlucky nature is their Marine. One day after Garp arrived, Luo Ning's warship finally arrived at Marine's interception point slowly. It's such a grand occasion. Are you not afraid of death? Luo Ning saw the people on the warship ahead, and then asked the jailer officer beside him. Afraid of death, but we have no choice. The jailer officer said that they knew the consequences when they received the order. Although they were afraid of death, they had to do it. After all, they could not bear the consequences of disobedience. That's right, it's really hard to refuse the order from above to serve as a soldier. Luo Ning did not intend to kill these jailers. Ice Age. Advertisement. The second after he finished speaking, the sea was directly frozen and turned into a land of glaciers. The battlefield has been created. Knowing that the sea water is useless to Luo Ning, it is natural to eliminate their weaknesses. After all, there are many Marines. Now that they have a foothold, the battle will be much more convenient. It's really considerate enough to prepare a nice battlefield. Luo Ning jumped off the boat directly, and the marine executives on the other side also got off the boat one after another. No one present was below Vice Admiral, all of them were Vice Admiral, followed by Admiral's alternate, Admiral, and Sengoku. What a gorgeous lineup, your welcome ceremony is quite special. Such a lineup was enough to startle a Four Emperors faction, but Luo Ning didn't change his mood at all. Facing a lineup like ours, it's so frightening. It should be said that it is indeed Kizaru, as soon as he speaks, people can't help but want to beat him up. It's just a bluff, Akainu said disdainfully. Of course, just saying so, he is not arrogant enough to think that he is much stronger than Aokiji and others. Even Aokiji's lineup was labeled that way, he was just talking about it. Isn't this the famous Akainu Admiral? Back then, Ohara, you were so handsome when you attacked civilians. Seeing Akainu, Luo Ning couldn't help mocking. He thought Akainu was good because Akainu was an iron-blooded soldier, at least he couldn't paddle like everyone else. But what he hates about Akainu is that Akainu has no bottom line at all. Several other people have their own views of good and evil, and Akainu's view of good and evil is actually the view of good and evil of the world government. They are listed as criminals by the world government. No matter whether the other party has done any bad things, Akainu will not hesitate under the killer. Luo Ning was very upset that Ohara's civilian ship was attacked by Akainu. In fact, to be honest, if there is no such thing as Ohara, Luo Ning has the best sense among the three admirals, Akainu. Although what Akainu did in the Summit War was a bit dirty in terms of means, she was facing an enemy at that time, and being kind to the enemy is being cruel to herself. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with what Akainu did in Summit War, on the contrary Aokiji and the others are annoying. Luo Ning's words directly made the marine executives who knew about it darken. You must know that although Akainu's actions against Ohara civilians were blocked back then, many marines have also shaken marines' justice because of this incident. At that time, it took a lot of effort to stabilize some people, but some soldiers who participated in the Buster Call chose to quit the marine directly because of this incident. Fortunately, this news was not rumored and blocked, otherwise Akainu's behavior can be said to have a huge negative impact on marine. All the marines stopped mentioning that incident after that incident, and the later marines basically didn't know about it. They thought that this incident would disappear into history forever, but unexpectedly, it was exposed by Luo Ning up. Great eruption. As the culprit at the time, Akainu chose to do it directly. After all, this is a stain on him. Although he himself does not think it is a stain, it does not mean that others will think so. You know, even among the Hawks, it is difficult to find such people who directly attack civilians. Now Akainu couldn't bear it anymore. This mocking tone and the words he was questioned back then made Akainu unable to keep calm in this matter, and directly blasted him with a giant magma fist. Chapter 73 The Weird Luo Ning Open Black Lens Bracket Favorite Close Black Lens Bracket. Break the defense just because of one sentence. Do you only have such a heart as Marine Admiral? Luo Ning dodged Akainu's fist and taunted again. He knew that he had hit Akainu's sore spot, which is actually not uncommon. A person with a good temper usually communicates with each other very peacefully, but on a certain issue, this person may become a powder keg. Just fry. This kind of thing is very common, and Akainu was poked at this pain point by Luo Ning, causing Akainu to directly break the defense at this moment. Hearing Luo Ning's taunt, Akainu's face was also full of veins at this moment, the magma surged crazily, and various magma moves kept attacking Luo Ning, but his attack speed was too slow. This attack missed Luo Ning at all, and Luo Ning dodged them all, but after Luo Ning dodged Akainu's attack, a golden light suddenly hit Luo Ning. It looks like I need to put in some effort. Kizaru's fingers were still shining golden at the moment, and it was he who made the attack just now. Poor Salino continued to cooperate with Sakazuki's attack. Seeing this scene, Sengoku's eyes lit up. The opponent's speed was very fast. Akainu's attack could not hit him, but Kizaru's attack was very fast. With the cooperation of the two, he could hit the opponent without fighting in close quarters. Although such an attack did not seem to cause any damage to the opponent, this time it was just Kizaru's trial attack. I see. Kizaru dodged into midair, aimed at Luo Ning below with his fingers, golden light flashed above his fingers, and grabbed Luo Ning to avoid Akainu's attack. Often such attacks can hit Luo Ning, but they can't cause too much damage, and it seems that they can't break the defense. What trouble, Sakazuki? Kizaru yelled at Akainu, and then his hands flashed a lot of golden light. Seeing this scene, Akainu immediately complied. The three of them, Admiral, knew each other's abilities like the back of their hands. Now he naturally knew what Kizaru was going to do. 8-foot Chong Guyu. Numerous light bullets were released from Kizaru's hands and blasted towards Luo Ning. This kind of barrage attack is not so easy to dodge, basically it can only be resisted. Kuzan, hold on to the ice. On Sengoku's side, seeing Kizaru release this move, he immediately greeted Aokiji. Aokiji also nodded and activated his own ability to recover the moment the ice surface was smashed by Kizaru, ensuring that the ice surface would not be broken. Dark Hound. When Luo Ning resisted Kizaru's attack, Akainu also made a move. Although Kizaru's barrage attacks were huge in number and concentrated, they also dispersed their strength. But Kizaru released this trick only to create a chance for Akainu. At this moment, Akainu's arm turned into magma and stretched rapidly. This move has an extremely fast speed. During the Summit War, Akainu used this move to blow off half of Whitebeard's face. This move landed on Luo Ning's body steadily. Luo Ning's body was directly blasted away by this punch. When he finally stopped, there were already some burns on his body, and a lot of damage to his clothes. The attack worked. Akainu was also a little surprised. He had been unable to cause any damage to the opponent just now, and now that the attack worked, he was naturally a little surprised. No, something is wrong, this kid's speed and defense have weakened a lot. Garp and Aokiji, who had fought against Luo Ning, frowned when they saw this scene. They all know how strong Luo Ning's body is, especially Garp, whose attack can't break through Luo Ning's defense. Although Sakazuki's attack is powerful, how could it be so easy to break through the opponent's defense? Advertisement. This is very abnormal. What do you mean by that? Sengoku heard Garp and Aokiji's questioning from the side and couldn't help asking. When the old man fought with that little monster before, he spent several hours without breaking through his defense. Instead, his nose was bruised and his face was swollen by the little monster. What do you think of the power of Sakazuki's punch? Garp frowned and explained his thoughts in detail. The defense and speed have become weaker. This is impossible. Sengoku couldn't help frowning too. This can't be a clone. At this time, Gion's words attracted everyone's attention. Jaji and I have fought against the opponent's clone before, and the fighting power of the clone is not as strong as the main body. This may be a clone. As Gion, who had fought with Luo Ning's avatar, he made such a statement at this moment. Damn it, no way. Sengoku suddenly thought of something, and immediately pulled out the phone bug. Here is Sora, what's the matter with Sengoku? Has the battle ended? The other side of the phone bug is Commander-in-Chief Kong, the former Marine Marshal. No, we suspect that Luo Ning here is a doppelganger. Commander, hurry up and check the situation of celestial dragons. The moment Sengoku heard that this might be a clone, Sengoku realized that the other party might have deceived himself and others to catch celestial dragons. Avatar, I know, I'll send someone to investigate now. After Kong finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly, and his tone was a little anxious. I hope it's not the same as we think. Crane doesn't know what to say at this moment. If Marine's high-level combat power is fully deployed, if it is really only a clone that is surrounded, it will make people laugh out loud. The people around heard Sengoku's call. They are not fools, they naturally know what Sengoku is worried about, and they are also a little worried at the moment. On the other side, Sora quickly dispatched his men to investigate the situation of the celestial dragons. But it takes a lot of time. Although he sent them there, because of the special status of the celestial dragons, it is very difficult to investigate, and some arrogant celestial dragons are unwilling to cooperate. They did not dare to break in by force, so the investigation work was very difficult. However, after spending some time, the search is almost done. At this moment, about half an hour has passed since the Sengoku call. On the other side of the battlefield, under the siege of Kizaru and Akainu, although Luo Ning would be injured, he recovered quickly. Just like Xiaoqiang in Immune to Death, this also makes Akainu and Kizaru very depressed. This kind of self-healing ability, unless the opponent is killed in one move, is simply immune to death. Since the attacks of the two admirals are Logia's abilities, and their attack power is extremely strong, others cannot intervene and can only watch from the sidelines. But the more he looked at it, the more Garp felt that this Luo Ning was a clone. Compared with the previous Luo Ning, it is simply a sky and an earth, and the combat effectiveness of the two is completely inconsistent. Chapter 74 Akainu, we fought for so long just for one clone. Open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. It has been found out that more than a dozen celestial dragons have lost contact. Your suspicions are true. The news from Long soon came, and Kong's face at the moment was extremely ugly. Marine dispatched so many people, but ended up besieging a clone, and was played by others. Celestial dragons didn't even know it was taken away. Damn it. Sengoku also choked out two words from between his teeth at this moment, and he was really uncomfortable at this moment. Sakazuki, Pelusilino, stop fighting, you are only fighting a clone. Sengoku yelled at Akainu Kizaru who was still fighting, and this yell immediately stopped the two of them. What's going on? Is this a clone? Akainu was taken aback. It looks like we've already discovered it, but that's fine. Let me tell you a word from the main body. If you want to save those celestial dragons, you can go to Impel Down. After speaking, Luo Ning disappeared directly, as if he had never existed. It's really a clone. Everyone was shocked that one clone had fought two admirals for so long. In fact, this avatar is quite special. After Luo Ning imagined this avatar, he did not give the avatar fantasy power, but imagined defense speed and self-healing. The most important thing is self-healing. Luo Ning never attacked the two of them from the beginning to the end, because the attack power was very weak, and the most important thing was to play with each other. At this moment, Luo Ning's body is already on the way back to Impel Down with a dozen celestial dragons. After sending Nami and Robin away, Luo Ning quietly replaced himself with a clone. After all, he was not acting alone, but on the Impel Down boat. These people would report their every move to Naval Headquarters. So Luo Ning simply took advantage of this. His goal was to capture the celestial dragons. As for the big battle, Marine blocked the news before, but this time he wanted to raise his profile a bit. So take celestial dragons back first. He has already gone to Subordinates archipelago to find someone from the newspaper to contact Morgans. The news about the arrest of celestial dragons is estimated to spread across the sea in a short time. Morgans is a very tactful person, he knows he can't mess with the world government, but this time the world government didn't warn him first, and he didn't expose the negative information about Marine, he only reported the arrest of celestial dragons, and the world government didn't have time to take care of him. One after another, when Luo Ning brought these celestial dragons to Impel Down, Magellan had already received a call from Sengoku. At this moment, Magellan's face was extremely ugly, because he saw more than a dozen world nobles lying on the ground. He couldn't beat Luo Ning, and he couldn't let Luo Ning do things. In short, Magellan was feeling extremely uncomfortable now. Magellan, I won't make things difficult for you, first throw these celestial dragons into any room. As the director of Impel Down, you should have no mercy for the criminals. The crimes committed by these celestial dragons are enough to kill them 10,000 times. But because of the skin of world nobles on their bodies, they have been at ease until now. You can tell Sengoku them that you temporarily saved the celestial dragons and let them come to Impel Down. Luo Ning said with a smile, this really fooled Magellan. What exactly do you want to do? Advertisement. Magellan couldn't understand what Luo Ning was going to do, did he commit suicide? No matter how powerful he is, he has provoked all the Marines this time, and the world government will definitely send people here. With this power, how can Luo Ning play? I'll give you a choice. Those of you with a strong sense of justice would want to kill all these celestial dragons when you see them, but your positions prevent you from doing so. I am fighting against the world government. If I win, I hope you will lead the entire Impel Down to become one of my subordinates, and make Impel Down into a real world's largest prison. Not a prison that even celestial dragons dare not accept. Looking at these celestial dragons lying on the ground in a coma, Luo Ning said. And his words also made Magellan's blood surge. Indeed, the only people in the sea who don't hate celestial dragons are probably celestial dragons themselves, the top leaders of the world government, and their dog legs. As for everyone else, including Marine, they hate celestial dragons. But the celestial dragons are nobles in the world, and they are called the existence of gods, and any laws are useless to them. So no matter how much they hate, Magellan and others have nothing to do. Place the celestial dragons, don't let them come out and run around, this is Impel Down, we must ensure their safety, if they come out and get injured, we will be implicated too. Magellan didn't make a statement because he couldn't, but he was moved. Impel Down indeed has people who dare not accept it, but if Luo Ning really defeated the world government's army, then what if he brought these people to join Luo Ning? There is no shortage of people with a sense of justice in Impel Down, and it is because they hate criminals that they work in Impel Down. But he won't directly say his choice, otherwise, once it reaches the ears of the people above, he will be very unlucky. Even the way the celestial dragons are handled is carefully excused. Magellan, you. Hannibal also knew Magellan's choice at this moment, although he usually wanted to keep Magellan in order. But he also has a sense of justice, and he also loathes celestial dragons. Go back to work, what to do, I will report the situation, we are not his opponents. Magellan left after dropping a word, and then Hannibal also left with others, and this time he was very rare not to hold on to the handle. Soon, Magellan reported the Impel Down. This guy didn't embarrass Magellan and the others, he is going to fight us. Garp also came to a realization, in his opinion Luo Ning is not a bad person, and he even admires it a little, but from a standpoint, they are enemies, so he can't say much. What Luo Ning is doing now is nothing more than waiting for them to fight in the past. In the end, the outcome will determine how these celestial dragons are disposed of. If the world government wins, then the celestial dragons will have no problems at all. If Luo Ning wins, then the myth of the celestial dragons will be directly broken in the future. This time it became a fuse, and there will be many madmen attacking celestial dragons in the future. Once this deterrence disappears, the consequences will be much more serious. Unless the celestial dragons stay in Mariajoy and cannot come out, they will be in danger once they come out. This battle is very critical, and now Sengoku can't make the decision himself, and can only wait for the 5 elders to order. Chapter 75 The Boiling Sea Open black lens bracket favorites close black lens bracket. Hey, this is fake, how could such a thing happen? Meanwhile, around the world, Morgan's papers have been sent out to the faces of those who read them in disbelief. What's the matter? What's the big news again, which surprised you so much? Seeing the stunned look on his companion's face, the person next to him leaned forward curiously, but after he leaned forward, he soon became like his friend. Father, you have to take a good look at the news this time, it's much more exciting than the arrest of Golden Lion before. On the Morbidi, Marco hands Whitebeard a newspaper. Gooish. Whitebeard is not calm this time, and he deserves Whitebeard's admiration for those who dare to touch the celestial dragons. Would he, Whitebeard, dare to touch the celestial dragons? Don't dare, yes, just don't dare, if he is alone and has nothing to worry about, and the celestial dragons have provoked him, then Whitebeard dares to touch these celestial dragons. But Whitebeard now has a big family and a big business. Once he moves the celestial dragons, the world government will not let him go. The world government wants to deal with him. Although the Whitebeard pirates dare not say it is easy, it will definitely not take much effort. In Summit War, if Aokiji and Kizaru don't say anything, and Sengoku Garp also joins the battle, the result will only be a disastrous defeat for the Whitebeard pirates, and it is impossible to fight to the extent of the original book. So he really didn't dare to touch the celestial dragons. If he moved the celestial dragons, it would be equivalent to ruining the lives of these children on his own ship. Whitebeard would not do such a thing casually. Not only him, even the lunatic Kaido won't move. Kaido hit Mariajoy, hit Naval Headquarters, but never the Celestial Dragons. Now a person popped up suddenly and attacked the Celestial Dragons. He caught more than a dozen Celestial Dragons and temporarily occupied Impel Down. This is to start a war between Impel Down and world government. Whitebeard is also a little surprised, and the same goes for the other 4 Emperor's pirates. I didn't expect there to be someone crazier than the boss, even the Celestial Dragons dared to move. Jack, who is known as the #1 Iron Boy on the sea, also has to admire. Although he claims to rely on the Ship King, he dare not rely on the Celestial Dragon's ship, but he directly attacked the Celestial Dragons. There will never be a shortage of lunatics at sea, but this time the lunatics have gone too far. If they want to fight against the entire world government on their own, neither Rox nor Roger could do it back then. Jin took one look and lost interest. In his opinion, although Luo Ning was crazy, he was just killing himself. This situation is equivalent to a dead end, and Luo Ning can't make any waves. Like the White Hand Pirates, the Big Mom Pirates, including the Red Hair Pirates, have the same idea. Even this time Shanks did not intend to go there. If the 2 major forces were at war, he might try to persuade the fight. After all, his purpose was to maintain the stability of the sea. But now, in his opinion, this is a one-sided battle, so he is not needed at all, and Luo Ning's death is a certainty. Arrogance, it's too arrogant. It's unbelievable that there are such madmen in this world. It would be nice if we could clean up some of the waste before dying. De Reese Rosa looked at the newspaper in his hand, and Brother Ming also laughed wildly. It was the first time he saw such a crazy person. This guy is really a lunatic. He dares to start a war with the world government and attack the Celestial Dragons. Isn't this courting death? Torebel and others said disdainfully. In their view, this is a lunatic looking for death. Get ready for the boat. It is estimated that the summoning order from the marine side will be sent soon. Advertisement. Brother Ming said after putting down the newspaper in his hand. My lord, do you mean that Marine will summon Shichibukai? The others looked at Brother Ming. It will definitely. This time it's not just about Marine. The arrest of Celestial Dragons is a slap in the face of the world government. Shichibukai is part of the world government, so it will definitely be called. It's just this time to see what kind of guy this madman is. After Brother Ming finished speaking, the others also nodded. Indeed, this time the incident was no longer just a matter of Marine, but raised to the face of the world government. Boss, someone has attacked Celestial Dragons, what should we do? Baldigo, the island of White Clay, the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army, all members of the Revolutionary Army looked at the dragon. This matter has something to do with them. The Celestial Dragons have always been the highest power representatives in the sea. The Revolutionary Army has always dared not move them, because the Revolutionary Army does not yet have the ability to go to war with the direct government. They can only fight guerrillas in their revolution now, otherwise, once they collide head-on, the Revolutionary Army will be abolished. Although I really want to help, we can't get involved in this incident, otherwise it will deal a heavy blow to the Revolutionary Army. We must hold back. Long also gritted his teeth. He had to think about all the members of the Revolutionary Army, and he couldn't let his own people die. In order to make a revolution, we have to take it one step at a time, and we cannot become a big fat man with one bite. The Celestial Dragons must be targeted, but not now. What they need to do now is to continuously expand their influence and recruit troops so that they can compete with the world government. Hateful. The others were a little annoyed. What they were annoyed was that they were too weak, otherwise they could have used this incident to severely damage the world government. How is this possible? Someone actually made a move on those gods. On Nine Snake Island, Hancock's hand holding the newspaper is trembling. The Pirate Empress, who seems to be fearless, is most afraid of Celestial Dragons. And now, someone did something to the Celestial Dragons, and she couldn't believe her eyes. Sister, Marine also sent a message to summon Shichibukai, shall we go? Hancock's 2 younger sisters also received a message from Marine to summon Shichibukai. Go, I want to see what kind of person dares to attack Celestial Dragons. Hancock tossed the newspaper aside and made up her mind that if she had been in the past, she would probably have to argue with Marine. But this time, since it's about Celestial Dragons, she's bound to make a trip. The same scene is constantly being staged among the large and small forces in the sea. The whole sea boils with the news that the Celestial Dragons have been captured. This is the biggest event since Roger was executed and the era of discovery broke out. Everyone in the sea is paying attention to the follow-up of this event. Chapter 76 Gathering in Impel Down Open Black Lens Bracket First Order 1/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. What the hell is going on? What the hell are you Marines doing? Why did you let this guy come to the Holy Land to capture the Celestial Dragons? Sengoku did not wait too long, and soon received a call from 5 elders, and Sora had already reported the situation. 5 elders felt incredible when they first heard the news, and they were all stunned. Immediately after, the anger was burning, and then he went to Sengoku to vent his anger. His ability is too weird, we didn't expect to deal with a clone. Sengoku just said a word, and he didn't bother to say anything to these old guys. After all, these old guys usually don't listen to him very much. In the eyes of 5 elders, Marine is a useful tool and an object of blame. After hearing Sengoku's words, the 5 elders' anger didn't disappear, and they scolded Sengoku directly. Sengoku also simply moved the phone bug away a little bit, just pretend that these are some pigs, farting. Finally, after scolding for a long time, the anger of 5 elders gradually subsided a little, and then slightly returned to normal state. Now the news of the sea has spread, summon Shichibukai, and the plan will definitely take down this madman. After leaving one last sentence, 5 elders didn't say anything more. They didn't dispatch Kong and CP organizations and other combat forces. After all, Marine's combat power was already strong enough. They don't think that all the battles of Marine plus Shichibukai can't deal with one person, which is impossible in their cognition. Shichibukai was still one seat short. Luo Ning had met Ace before. During this period, Ace entered the Grand Line, and with Mera Mera Fruit, the bounty skyrocketed in a very short period of time. Later, I was invited to make him a member of the Shichibukai, but was rejected by Ace. After Ace refused, the Shichibukai was replaced by someone else, and the current Shichibukai has just been assembled. The time span for Shichibukai to gather is really huge. Jinbei became Shichibukai 8 years ago in the original book, and then Arlong came out, which caused Arlong to enslave Kokosha village for 8 years. However, after more than 5 years, Shichibukai still has vacant seats. The Shichibukai were not collected until Ace refused. Watching 5 elders finally hang up the phone bug, Sengoku finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although he had tried his best to ignore the 5 elders, it was somewhat uncomfortable to be scolded so badly. But there is no way, as the so-called high-ranking official crushes people to death, the 5 elders is not just as simple as a high-ranking official. How's the situation? It seems like. Seeing Sengoku leave the room, Suru spoke, but stopped in the middle of speaking. She also knew the nature of 5 elders, probably Sengoku was scolded again. I'm used to it. Now call Shichibukai and gather the strength of the headquarters. Since the trouble is big this time, let's use our marine name. Sengoku shook his head and said he was fine, but this time, they need to gather most of their strength. Not only high-level combat power, Sengoku knew that low-level combat power was useless to Luo Ning, but this time he had to bring it because the news had already spread from the 5 elders, so they had no choice. This battle will attract the attention of all major forces in the world, and Marine must also show its own cards. At worst, they will let the warships surround the Impel Down at that time. At that time, even if they win the battle, it will not look good. It can only be said that Sengoku has spent a lot of thought on Marine's face. Calling the Shichibukai, it's really their style. Crane couldn't help sighing. Speaking of Shichibukai, any Marine would be upset, even Akainu and the others. This is not partisan, and it is a sore spot for all Marines, but there is nothing they can do about it. Advertisement. After all, Shichibukai belongs to the world government, not to the Marine. The Marine is only responsible for calling and assigning tasks. Zephyr had trouble when Shichibukai was formed, but was it useful? Not to mention, he was useless as a marshal. On the Marine side, the elite forces were quickly assembled, and a large number of warships were mobilized. On the other side, Shichibukai also dispatched after receiving the order. The Shichibukai, which were difficult to summon, went very smoothly this time, and no one refused, even Hawkeye. Luo Ning was the only person who dared to make such a high-profile attack on celestial dragons, which made Hawkeye very interested. The only thing Sengoku is happy about now is that the news from Magellan's side that the celestial dragons have not been harmed, but he has no way to send the dragons out. Sengoku can completely understand this point. One piece of Impel Down is not enough for Luo Ning to fight. In this case it is better to keep the celestial dragons, but don't push Luo Ning, this is what he doesn't want to see. I didn't expect to see Marine siege Impel Down one day. It's so interesting. Marine's warship has already sailed to Impel Down, and Doflamingo couldn't help showing a mocking smile when he saw the impenetrable Impel Down. Asking for flowers. Hehehehe. You dare to attack celestial dragons, and Marine has dispatched so many combat forces. It seems that this guy is very strong. I wonder if we can get his body after this guy is dead. At this moment, Moria was thinking about how to get Luo Ning's body. He has the ability to create zombies. The stronger the corpse, the stronger the shadow, and the stronger the zombies he creates. Although Moria is weak, she is not stupid. Marine almost dispatched the entire army this time. What kind of concept is this? Using such a lineup against one person is simply outrageous to the extreme. Celestial dragons. Jinbei was very upset when he heard the name of celestial dragons. He was suppressing his anger. After all, after the celestial dragons came to the Fishmen Island, Otahime was beaten to death. Although Hody Jones was responsible for it, only Shirahoshi was the only one who knew about it. At that time, everyone believed that Princess Otahime was killed by celestial dragons. But they can't do anything to celestial dragons, otherwise it will bring disaster. Hody Jones' operation is simply a brain damage. There are always some weirdos in this Murloc, who dare not take revenge on the culprit and choose to take revenge on the society's Arlong. Hody Jones is talking about what kind of Avenger he is, so you are going to attack humans, what are you doing in your own den? A group of weirdos who are submissive to the outside world and attack hard at the inside. Is the phone bug in place? Sengoku asked. It's already in place, but is it really going to be broadcast live? A group of Vice Admiral asked with some doubts. We have no worse plans, this time there are only 2 results, one is that we win and the other is that we lose. If you lose, Marine's reputation will be ruined regardless of whether it's live broadcast or not. Broadcasting the scene of Marine's battle can also save a little reputation loss. After all, it's not that we didn't try our best. Of course, the probability of this result is very small. But if you win, you can build Marine's reputation, so there's no harm in doing it. Crane said, Just like the live broadcast against the Whitebeard pirates during the Summit War, Marine must use this method to recover the loss of reputation this time. Anyway, no matter how bad it is, it won't go anywhere. And now there are so many reporters staring at it. Although those reporters dare not broadcast live, they can take pictures. Let this group of people mess around. Why not broadcast the truth yourself? Chapter 77. First, collect a wave of money for miscellaneous soldiers. Open black lens bracket. First order 2/10 close black lens bracket. How many warships are there? It's much scarier than Buster Call. At this moment, some of the surrounding islands were broadcasting the Impel Down live broadcast. Seeing the Marine lineup on the screen, everyone gasped. Even Buster Call only has 10 warships, but now, there are hundreds of warships densely packed. This number of warships actually appeared in the original book, in the movie version of Action Frenzy, and such a lineup of warships was dispatched when encircling and suppressing a large number of pirates. But that was aimed at a large number of pirates, but now, it is only targeted at Luo Ning. But this is not Marine making a big fuss. In fact, in terms of the seriousness of the matter, what Luo Ning has done this time is much more serious than Bullet's time. The existence of the Wylong people alone tells everything. Too much, my eyes are dazzled. 047, feels like the guy who caught celestial dragons this time is finished. Everyone thought that Luo Ning was finished. At the same time, Luo Ning and the Impel Down villa naturally knew that Marine was coming. There are so many miscellaneous soldiers here, this can be regarded as giving me a wave of experience first. Luo Ning was also a little surprised to see so many Marine soldiers. You must know that although each Marine soldier does not provide many freedom points, but the amount of Marines is unstoppable. In order to create a good image, this time Sengoku brought over 100,000 Marine soldiers. Even more exaggerated than the Summit War lineup, this is completely giving Luo Ning experience. Boom. Luo Ning's Reiatsu release, this time is a full release, without any reservations. Terrifying Reiatsu formed Reiatsu beams of light rushed out from the Impel Down, all the way up, like a sky pillar connecting heaven and earth. The wave of Reiatsu spread like a tide in all directions, and all the Marine soldiers who were hit, below Vice Admiral, rolled their eyes and lay down collectively. However, Luo Ning bypassed some specific existences, such as the phone bug and the reporters watching the fun around. None of these were affected. As this, Conqueror's Haki. Jinbei also stared at him. What a terrifying conquerors, it was simply outrageous to the extreme. It's not conquerors, it's another power, but the pressure it brings is more terrifying than Conqueror's Haki. As the person who owns the Conqueror's Haki, Brother Ming originally wanted to release the Conquerors to resist this coercion, but his Conquerors could not even be released in the face of such a terrifying coercion. Reiatsu itself is a power above Conquerors, and Mingo's Conqueror's strength is not high, and it is completely incomparable with Luo Ning's Reiatsu, so that his Conquerors can't even be released. The same as Hancock, as the holder of Conqueror's Haki, and now her Conqueror's Haki is also crushed to death. What the hell is this? It completely suppressed the concubine's Conquerors. It was the first time Hancock had seen such terrifying power. At this moment, Luo Ning's Reiatsu not only spread all over the Marine side, but also spread all over the entire large prison. Except for bypassing those jailers, all prisoners were affected. It's much stronger than before, this power is really a monster. Advertisement. Even Bullet couldn't help but widen his eyes. He had never seen this kind of coercion from Roger. Comparing the two, he thought Roger could not compare to this coercion. This coercion is very familiar, and he also remembered Luo Ning who attacked them back then. But compared with the coercion at that time, it was completely like heaven and earth. It can still affect us from such a distance, and it has bypassed so many people and phone bugs. Sengoku found that Luo Ning was much more terrifying than what Garp and others described. Just a burst of coercion caused such a terrifying effect. That little monster has come out, this show-off is really powerful. Garp said suddenly. At this time everyone's attention was focused on the gate of Impel Down. Kuzan. Sengoku called Aokiji. Aokiji understood immediately. The Ice Age was released again. The sea surface was frozen. At this moment in fact, many Sea Kings' bodies could be seen frozen in the ice. Some parts were exposed out of the ice. Luo Ning's Reiatsu release just now stunned all the surrounding sea creatures. It's your turn. Don't forget you are Shichibukai. This time Sengoku didn't directly let Akainu and others take action, but looked at Hawkeye and others. Now they don't know whether they are facing Luo Ning's body or clone. Although the probability of being a clone is not high, it is better to let Shichibukai help them find the way. Marshal Sengoku is very calculating. If his strength is really as stated in the data, are you planning to let us go up to let us die? We become Shichibukai to respond to the call of the world government, but it is impossible to send us to death. Doflamingo is not worried that Marine will turn against him. After all, he also has a deal with the world government, and it is impossible for Marine to touch him. Shoot me, or I'll remove your Shichibukai name and arrest you now. Sengoku was also true, and directly confronted Doflamin. Just when the two sides were at a stalemate, Hawkeye suddenly moved and pulled out the black knife on his back. Huh, are you planning to make a move? Everyone was shocked. You must know that Hawkeye is the world's #1 swordsman, and he has his own pride. He usually doesn't bother to listen to some summons from Marine. This is mainly because of Hawkeye's strength. Hawkeye was able to draw with Shanks. It seems that Hawkeye is actually weaker. After all, Hawkeye is a great swordsman, and the only way to fight is kendo. But in fact it is not the case. Shanks is known as Little Roger, which is a smaller version of Roger. He also uses a knife, not an ability user. The strength of Shank's fists and feet with a knife is not necessarily 4.4 stronger than his own with a knife. For those who are not capable, the competition is nothing more than Haki, so Hawkeye and Shanks draw. In a sense, it shows that Hawkeye has 4 Emperor's level combat power. Shanks is not an ability user either, and there is a big difference from Golden Lion. Golden Lion loses fruit ability, and the strongest is Kendo. Shanks is a master of swordsmanship. Compared with this kind of strength, isn't Hawkeye a 4 Emperor's level combat power? Therefore, even if Hawkeye usually ignores Marine will not force Hawkeye to do anything. The existence of Hawkeye is equivalent to a person like the 4 Emperors Hong Bolin who has no power. Such a lone wolf is the last thing to be provoked. After all, he has no worries. If he is really provoked, he has strong mobility and is very troublesome to deal with. Chapter 78 Sengoku and Garp open black lens bracket first order 3/10 close black lens bracket. Just to see if there is anyone who is as strong as Marine said, if there is, then the opponent has undoubtedly surpassed Whitebeard. In the original book of Hawkeye, Summit War stabbed Whitebeard. At that time, he said that he wanted to see the gap with Whitebeard. To put it bluntly, the title of the strongest Whitebeard will always exist as long as Whitebeard is still alive. In 4 Emperors, Shank's strength seems to be very average. Hawkeye thought that there was still a certain gap between himself and Whitebeard, so he directly slashed Whitebeard, but was blocked by Joe's. This is also one of the reasons why Hawkeye's strength is considered inferior to 4 Emperors, but to put it bluntly, Chaozi is not weak, and then even hit Aokiji until he vomited blood. Aokiji also took some effort to win Joe's. Admiral and 4 Emperors are at the same level, there is no distinction between strength and weakness. It's no big deal if Hawkeye's knife is blocked by the opponent. Since Marine's information said that Luo Ning's strength is estimated to have surpassed Whitebeard, then he will naturally have to test it. So at this moment, Hawkeye didn't talk nonsense with the others, but directly pulled out the knife in his hand, and then slashed it down. The huge green slash with a distance of hundreds of meters smashed the ice and rushed towards Luo Ning. Hawkeye. Luo Ning squinted his eyes. Facing the slash, he didn't dodge it, but directly raised his left hand. Slash collided with Luo Ning's left hand in the blink of an eye. How can that be? The Marine executives who had never seen Luo Ning's true power and the surrounding people watching the battle who were still awake all exclaimed. Hawkeye is the world's #1 swordsman. Many people can guess that his slash was blocked by the opponent, but is it too much to block it in this way? Stretching out a hand, he blocked the slash just like that, as if the slash had no strength at all, it couldn't be saved at all under the blocking of the opponent's arm. Immediately after Luo Ning's hand exerted force, Hawkeye's slash deviated from the original direction and returned directly the same way. Seeing this scene, Hawkeye's eyes froze, and then he slashed out again, and the two slashes collided. Boom. The slashes collided, and the huge explosion blasted the ice to pieces. Fortunately, Aokiji activated his ability again to stabilize the ice without breaking. Have you blocked such an attack with your flesh and blood without using the trace of armament Haki at all? Even the 4 Emperors Lot Linlin can't. Impossible appeared in many people's minds, because at this moment Luo Ning's body was not injured at all, and he couldn't even see a bit of embarrassment, as if the attack just now was fake. Used anything other than armament Haki's defense. Hawkeye himself can see clearly, he knows the power of his slashing, it is impossible to cut down a flesh and blood body that is not defended with armed colors, so he must have used a special defensive ability. Sure enough, the defense power of the previous avatar is simply worlds different. Seeing this scene, Sengoku finally knew why Garp and the others could easily judge that the other party was a clone. This defense is completely different from the previous defense. The previous attack by Akainu and others can injure the opponent, although the ability to injure the blink of an eye has recovered. Advertisement. But it did break through the defense, but Hawkeye's attack was not weaker than Akainu's. Even such a slash can't break through the opponent's defense. This is obviously the main body, and the gap between the main body and the clone is not small. That's right, this should be the main body, how about it? Are you following the previous plan? Shichibukai is obviously unreliable here. Garp took a look at Shichibukai. Among the Shichibukai, Hawkeye and Shangshi are the strongest. Shang has no intention of making a move. Even if he does, it is probably just a symbolic move. Will not shoot again. A few other Shichibukai, it's not that Garp looks down on them, it's just really average. Then do what you said before. I haven't done much for so many years, and my bones are rusted. Sengoku tore off his coat of justice, and Garp did the same, and the two jumped off the ship and onto the ice. This was what they had discussed before. Although Kizaru and Akainu could join forces to deal with Luo Ning, once they did it, there was no room for others to intervene, otherwise they would be affected. So let him and Garp play the main attack. If the two of them can defeat Luo Ning, then there is no need to say anything. If they still can't defeat each other, then Waishu and Huang Yuan can take advantage of the loopholes to support. Akainu and Kizaru's attack is very difficult for others to intervene, but Sengoku and Garp are different. After all, they don't have the kind of large-scale barrage attack of Logia. So I changed the order of primary and secondary. In fact, Sengoku and Garp teamed up to deal with Luo Ning now is a bit embarrassing, after all, it is 2 against 1. But after confirming that Luo Ning is the main body, and thinking about the previous battle between Garp and Luo Ning, Sengoku must help, otherwise it will be even more embarrassing, and it is definitely not Luo Ning's opponent individually. This also made Sengoku very helpless, he had to fight in groups to defeat the opponent, it was shameful, but now it can't be controlled so much. Really, it's these two guys who made the shot this time. Except for the Marine executives, everyone was shocked. Needless to say, Sengoku was promoted from Admiral to Marshal, and he was also an Admiral-level combat power back then. Garp is a legendary Marine who has beaten 2 generations of high 340 Thief Kings. Having refused to be promoted to Admiral several times, even if the strength of these two veteran powerhouses has declined, their 2 shots are unexpected by others, and they are 2 against 1, which is really too much. It seems that Marine's information is not fake, otherwise it wouldn't be 2v1. It's so interesting. Doflamingo was also very interested in watching this scene, which is not usually seen. I thought that Garp and Sengoku wouldn't make any moves in the future, let alone join forces, but I didn't expect to see them here again. No matter what other people thought, Sengoku's body suddenly began to swell when he came to the ice, and the ice under his feet was stepped on a lot of cracks. Sengoku activated his own ability, and his body turned into a huge Buddha with a height of tens of meters exuding golden light. You really think highly of me, but is this a righteous 2-on-1? Luo Ning emphasized the pronunciation of the word justice, which was just a stock before he crossed, but it seems to be really suitable for Marine. Especially Sengoku. After all, Sengoku pays great attention to the so-called justice. Stop talking nonsense, it doesn't matter what method you use to deal with criminals. Sengoku responded directly. Chapter 79 The power of fantasy erupts in an all-round way. Open black lens bracket. First order 4/10 close black lens bracket. Then tell me what crime I committed. Luo Ning made a complaint, allocating all the free points he had just obtained to his physique and Reiatsu. But this time, Sengoku didn't answer his words verbally. What responded to Luo Ning was a huge golden palm. There is also a terrifying shock wave on the palm. This time Luo Ning didn't dodge, but punched directly. The fist and palm collided with each other. The terrifying impact instantly shattered the surrounding ice, and the air waves formed circles of terrifying shock waves that scattered in all directions. Some reporters fell directly on the deck of the ship under the blow of the blast. After the aftermath dissipated, everyone saw that Sengoku had withdrawn his palm. It's really fast, and it uses armament Haki to resist my attack. Are you afraid of becoming like a ghost spider? Luo Ning really had the idea of injecting the power of fantasy into Sengoku's body just now, but at the moment when he was about to touch the opponent's palm, a wave of armament Haki suddenly came out, blocking Luo Ning's attack for a moment. By the time Luo Ning broke through the armament Haki, Sengoku had already withdrawn his hand, obviously not wanting to touch him. Although Sengoku and others did not analyze what Luo Ning's abilities are, they still took some precautions against the known abilities. Does it really need to be touched? Sengoku is also a little lucky at the moment. Fortunately he is careful enough, otherwise once the bones are turned into biscuits, with his current posture, it is estimated that his body will collapse instantly, and it will be much more miserable than the ghost spider. Fantasy. Luo Ning activated his fantasy power. Garp has been staring at him at this moment, probably looking for a loophole. Sengoku's attack just now was just a probing attack, it is not so simple to withdraw his hand so easily. That being the case, then Luo Ning will not be polite, and the power of fantasy is fully erupted. A gigantic boulder appeared above Sengoku and Garp, then fell. Where did the stone come from? Seeing this scene, Sengoku slapped upwards. The terrifying shock wave shattered the huge rocks above, but the scattered rocks turned into magma in an instant. Magma. Sakazuki. Kizaru subconsciously looked at Akainu beside him when he saw this scene. Not me. Akainu was also confused. In fact, Kizaru also knew that it was not Akainu, but he subconsciously thought about it. After all, the whole world knows that Akainu is the only one who can play with magma. Why did it turn into magma? The armed color is released, the shock wave of the Buddha. Sengoku's pupils shrank. This sudden change really shocked him. He released the armed color, and the shock wave went straight up to disperse all the magma that was about to fall on him. But the moment he broke up the magma, a stream of water fell from the sky, taking advantage of the gap Sengoku had just attacked and fell on him. In an instant, Sengoku's Buddha body turned into a soaked chicken, and his body shrank suddenly until he returned to human form. Seawater. Sengoku's ability suddenly failed, and he realized that Luo Ning could use seawater to attack them. Advertisement. And the boulder magma at the beginning was to let him hit out the power first, and only then use the seawater to attack. Just as Sengoku was surprised, steel spikes suddenly appeared on the ice and rushed towards Sengoku. But before the steel spike hits Sengoku, Sengoku uses armament Haki. The seawater can only remove his abilities and weaken him, but it cannot restrain Haki. The spikes went right into Sengoku's body without causing him much damage. At the same time, Garp, who had been silent all this time, seized the gap, rushed directly to Luo Ning, and then punched out. Part of Luo Ning's attention has been on Garp, he will not forget that there is such a master. Vice Admiral Garp, the timing is very firm, but I have not forgotten your existence. If all Luo Ning's attention is on Sengoku, maybe he will be caught by Garp. After all, Luo Ning's fantasy requires concentration. Fantasizing about too many things at once weakens all fantasies. However, Luo Ning did not forget about Garp, so although this gap exists, Garp can't grasp it. Even so, because of Garp's attack, Luo Ning has no extra thoughts to target Sengoku. You know, Sengoku is at its most vulnerable at this time, after all, it has just been soaked in seawater. It seems that his ability can't distract too much attention. Not only Sengoku noticed, but Suru and Kizaru and Akainu also noticed. After all, They are all people with rich combat experience, knowing that this is undoubtedly the best time to continue to attack Sengoku. But because Garp disrupted Luo Ning's attack rhythm, Luo Ning had no time to focus on taking care of Sengoku. The more powerful the ability user is, the less obvious the sea water will weaken them. Sengoku's state also quickly adjusted. The adjusted Sengoku did not use his abilities this time, but used armament Haki and Garp to cooperate. The combination of these two people is much better than Akainu Kizaru and the others. Every time it was an instant attack that caught Luo Ning's distraction, and found a way to create a gap. Although Luo Ning is strong, he cannot compare with these people in terms of combat experience. This is also Luo Ning's biggest shortcoming. However, Luo Ning has absolute defense, strength, and self-healing ability. He can even ignore the attacks of two people, so he simply focused on one person deep in the mountain, completely ignoring the other person's attack. This led to an instant reversal of the situation. Both Sengoku and Garp were defeated by Luo Ning. With strengthening very good time and time again, Luo Ning's strength will only become stronger and stronger. Now Luo Ning is not a punishment comparable to the previous Luo Ning. It took Luo Ning a lot of time to beat Garp Black and Blue before, but now, he has broken several of Garp's bones. This is armament Haki across the other side. In order to prevent contact with Luo Ning, the two will choose to use armed foreign tactics every time they attack. Every time Luo Ning's attack hits the armament Haki on the outside of the two, Luo Ning simply imagined the power of penetration. Although the body will not be in direct contact with each other, but every time the strength is actually hitting the two of them. The battle of just 10 minutes is really too short for the people of One Piece world. After all, these guys will fight for days and nights at every turn. The 10 minutes now are ridiculously short, but at this moment Sengoku and Garp are already a bit too much. Chapter 80 Akainu Kizaru joins the battle, Joint Fantasy Open Black Lens Bracket Seek First Order 5/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. Let's do it. Marshall and the others are not opponents. There is already a gap in strength between the two sides, and we must prevent the opponent's body from contacting us. The disadvantage will only become bigger and bigger. Seeing that the two of them lost their face, Kizaru, who had agreed before, planned to make a move, and Akainu also nodded. The two quickly joined the battle group, and the 2-on-1 turned into 4-on-1 at this moment. Can Marine still show some face? Just now it was 2 against 1, but now it is 4 against 1. The people who watched the match and those who watched the live broadcast were speechless. 2 against 1 is not enough, 4 against 1 directly, and the strongest group of Marines 4 against 1, is too much. What are you thinking? It's not what Marine is doing. To put it bluntly, it's not arresting criminals. People who also watched the live broadcast directly retorted when they heard such words. But what is this man doing? The person who spoke before retorted again, and now everyone stopped talking. Luo Ning really didn't have any rewards and the only crime was to capture the celestial dragons. They said that they did a good job on this matter, but no one dared to say it. After all, celestial dragons are the world's 663 nobles. It's okay to scold them privately, but there are so many people now. If anyone who speaks out is reported by someone who cares, the consequences will be bad. All right, so now everyone is afraid to say anything, but they are already on Luo Ning's side in their hearts. Especially those who have been harmed by celestial dragons, wishing that all Marines would be defeated at once. Marines' top management is 4 against 1. This kind of news is really amazing. Hurry up and send out the newspaper. I want these news to spread across the sea as soon as possible. On the Morgan's side, a newspaper has been prepared and sent to various branches to start distributing quickly. Anyway, this time Morgan's is not afraid, Marine himself broadcast it live, he just relayed it. Meanwhile, on the Impel Down side, the battle continues. Hey, you guys are going too far, 2 against 1 is fine, now let's play 4 against 1. Luo Ning looked at the 4 people around him speechlessly. Although these 2 people and the 4 people did not have much influence on him, none of the 4 people's attacks reached the level that could break through his own defense. In the case of not breaking the defense, you will have the same result if you come 100 times, nothing more than speeding up his Reiatsu consumption. But the current Luo Ning Reiatsu's strength can be said to be a starfish, and now in a war of attrition with him, the only ones who will suffer will be the people on the Marine side. At this moment, no one responded to Luo Ning at all. After all, several people had to stare at Luo Ning with full attention to prevent Luo Ning from attacking suddenly. Since you don't talk about Wood, don't blame me. Luo Ning flew straight into the air. Although Kizaru wanted to stop Luo Ning, he couldn't do it. His attack couldn't break the defense. Now his only thought is to consume Luo Ning's power and fight Luo Ning in a war of attrition. Beat. A clone suddenly appeared beside Luo Ning who came to midair. Clone. Seeing this scene, Sengoku and the others were taken aback for a moment, and then became vigilant again. Luo Ning's ability has not been solved so far. Although he found some weak points, it is useless now. Since the opponent used the avatar at this time, it means that there must be some more powerful tricks. At this moment, the avatar created by Luo Ning has no fighting power. He only exists for one purpose, to provide fantasy. The power of fantasy was connected, causing Luo Ning's power of fantasy to skyrocket, and then a small black spot appeared in the sky. Advertisement. And the spots are getting bigger and bigger. No, it's a meteorite, Pelusilino. After the small black spot continued to enlarge, everyone could clearly see that it was a huge burning red meteorite. The size of this meteorite is much larger than the one that Fujitora pulled down, and it has a stronger impact. Although this power cannot be compared with a real meteorite (CBBG), you must know that when a meteorite with a size of 60 meters falls, the impact force will cause a deep pit of 170 meters, and there is still a range of 1,200 meters. Inner shock. In addition to this, the meteorite will also cause a series of natural disasters such as earthquakes and tsunamis. Meteorite tricks have appeared in many worlds. Fujitora in Pirate World has done it, Uchiha Madara in Hokage World has done it, and even Gremmy, the original owner of the fantasy ability held by Lujong, has done it. The mass extinction of species in the late Cretaceous period was caused by meteorites. At that time, the size of the meteorite was 10 kilometers, and the damage caused by the impact of the real meteorite was too terrifying. The meteorite that Luo Ning fantasized about is huge, but the impact is not so exaggerated, otherwise the meteorite he dropped now would be enough to wipe out the species in Pirate World. But even so, the power of this meteorite is enough for these few people to drink a pot. Kizaru came into the air the moment Sengoku uttered the sound, the light bomb quickly blasted towards the meteorite in the air. But at this time the meteorite has accelerated to a certain level, and Kizaru's light bullet was directly smashed by the meteorite. Meteor volcano. Big Buddha shockwave. Armed against foreigners. Bear paw impact. Seeing that the meteorite was getting closer, Sengoku and others also launched their own tricks to blast the meteorite in the air, even including the people on the marine side and Shichibukai. If the meteorite falls, everyone will feel bad, so many people attack the meteorite together. Under the attack of many forces, the meteorite summoned by Luo Ning finally shattered, but the moment the meteorite shattered, countless broken stones formed small meteorites and scattered in all directions like a goddess scattering flowers. Even if a few people resisted quickly, many warships became dilapidated under the attack. As for the Impel Down, that bombarded the Impel Down side, they were dismantled after Luo Ning cancelled his fantasy. The meteorite itself was imagined by him, and even if it was broken, he could cancel the fantasy. After all, this Impel Down is his lair, and he can't let the Impel Down be smashed by the meteorite rain. Damn it, you actually made such a terrifying meteorite. The continuous full-strength shots, and not blocking all the meteorite fragments, made Sengoku and others look very ugly. Many warships were hit. Fortunately, the people on board were awakened by the aftermath during the battle. There were not many casualties, but more warships were lost. It's amazing, it actually blocked this meteorite, but it's not over yet. While Luo Ning was talking, one clone after another appeared beside him, this time there were as many as a dozen clones. But at this time, Vice Admiral, the Crane from Marine, appeared with a phone bug in his hand. At the same time, the live broadcast was directly cut off, and the phone bugs in the hands of the reporters were all confiscated by the Marines. Chapter 81 The Deadliest Problem, Seeking First Order 6/10. Still come this far. Sengoku shook his head helplessly. Now that Crane is doing this, it is nothing more than the fact that Luo Ning cannot be restrained by force, so he can only choose to retreat and use the means that Marine should not use. But to be honest, there is no other choice now. Although it violates justice, Sengoku knows that Marine's justice has already deteriorated. Luo Ning, I think you should listen to this one first. Crane came to the battlefield and dialed the phone in his hand, the phone bug. He Vice Admiral, what does your wife want me to hear? At this time, a voice suddenly sounded. It was Luo Ning's voice, although Luo Ning himself was here, but at this moment Marine's complexion changed drastically, because the voice came from the phone bug in Crane's hand. How is this going? Kizaru and others were a little confused. Why did this voice come from the phone bug? It's a clone. Crane's expression also changed. Originally, this time, he planned to use the village name of Kokosha village to blackmail Luo Ning, not to mention getting Luo Ning to submit obediently, but at least to save the celestial dragons, but now the plan can't keep up with the changes. Obviously when she confirmed the situation just now, the Marine on the opposite side was still normal, but it changed when she came here. I know what will happen to your Marine, so I sent an avatar to Kokosha village before, but according to the information sent to me by my avatar, there are at least people with a bottom line in your Marine. Luo Ning said with a smile. At this moment, there is a group of Marines lying on the ground in Kokoxia village. They are the people sent by the Crane before. Besides this, there is a smoker in casual clothes. That's right, Smoker. Smoker disobeyed the order of Sengoku and the others, and then changed into plain clothes and came to Kokosha village. Smoker himself was ready to turn against Marine. He never imagined that Marine could be so dark and attack civilians, which he didn't want to see. Although it has been emphasized before that it will not really do it, it has already broken through Smoker's bottom line as a Marine. At this moment, Smoker's belief in Marine has completely collapsed. So he came to Kokosha village by himself. If the situation is not right, if Marine really makes a move, he will also make a move. It's just that before he could make a move this time, Luo Ning's avatar did it. Did you already know we'd do something like this? Neither Sengoku nor Crane could understand, and Jinning really knew Marine too well. Of course, after all, your justice has deteriorated long ago, and you repeatedly broke the bottom line. To be honest, although there are still many good Marines, there is indeed a lot of garbage inside your Marines. And the people above you don't set an example, thinking about how to save your own face all day long, especially you Sengoku, your absolute justice will actually make your Marine slowly corrupted. Definitely, pushing things down won't bring about a complete collapse of Marine, but it's a slow death. The injured person chose to bandage the wound, but did not choose to treat it with medicine. Sooner or later, the injury of the wound will explode. Advertisement. Luo Ning was very disdainful of the ideas of Sengoku and others. He learned more from Fujitora. Fujitora knelt down and was sprayed by a Kainu. Said it lost Marine's face, but to put it bluntly, Fujitora's kneeling actually saved Marine a lot of face. Not even daring to accept failure, this Marine will end sooner or later. However, with an immediate boss like the world government, the Marine will remain the same no matter how it changes, unless they change their boss and then do a big cleanup. Luo Ning's call made Sengoku and others look very ugly. Although Luo Ning's words made them feel reasonable, but these people are used to the current situation, how could they suddenly change their thoughts and actions? Luo Ning didn't think he could make the other party listen to him with just a few words. These people are not so brainless. By the way, the situation in Kokoja village has been live broadcasted to some surrounding islands. It is estimated that what you did in Marine will soon spread across the sea. You should think about how to deal with the aftermath. As Luo Ning spoke, he showed his white teeth, which made Sengoku and others confused again. Why did Crane cut off the live broadcast just now, and why did he snatch the phone bugs from the reporters? Isn't it because of the shame of doing such a thing? It's just like trying to cut off the live broadcast in the middle of the summit war. Now, although the live broadcast here has been cut off, Luo Ning's avatar has prepared live phone bugs in Kokoja village, and has prepared live broadcast screens on some surrounding islands. Asterisk. The scene just now has been completely broadcast live. It is estimated that many reporters are already writing hard. These news are still unable to be stopped by Sengoku and others. It will not be long before the news is compiled and spread. Even if they want to be controlled, they can't do it. After all, the location of the live broadcast was in East Blue, and they couldn't contact East Blue now. The phone bug to contact East Blue was only one in his hand, and it was controlled by Luo Ning's avatar. Now they can only wait for such news to spread across the entire sea. What good will it do you? Sengoku was furious at the moment, and he trembled at the thought that Marine's reputation would be ruined directly. Why do you ask such a question? It was you Marines who provoked me from the beginning. Well, aren't your Marines besieging me now? What's wrong with me doing such a thing? Luo Ning looked at Sengoku with some puzzlement. How could he be angry? He was obviously responsible for all the good things, but now he came to question Luo Ning instead. It's all because you got your hands on the celestial dragons first. Sengoku roared angrily. This is even more ridiculous. People in the sea know what celestial dragons have done. Are they innocent? Now, dare to touch your conscience and say that celestial dragons are innocent in the name of Marine. Luo Ning's words were like a nail directly driven into the hearts of all Marines. Indeed, do they dare? Do they really dare to say such things in the name of Marine? If they say it, then Marine's reputation will be completely discredited. Luo Ning is now equivalent to putting Marine on a pillar with abysses in all directions. Anyway, you can find a place to jump. There is an abyss below. If you jump, you will fall to death. If you don't jump, you will starve to death. Now even if Sengoku chooses to remain silent, it is useless. He does not dare to say such a thing, which shows that he has a guilty conscience. Therefore, no matter whether Sengoku answers this question or not, or how he answers it, Marine will be discredited. Chapter 82 Luo Ning. Surprised or not? Open black lens bracket first order 7/10 close black lens bracket. Why are you silent? Don't speak. Everyone has become dumb. Doesn't one of you Marine dare to answer this question? Luo Ning asked aggressively again. At this time, a Kainu, who could not bear it any longer, punched him with a magma punch. He couldn't answer it even if he was in his heart. This is a question that must die. Instead of entangled here and being disgusted by the other party, it is better to do it directly. Look, just do it if you can't say it, you Marines are only so capable. Luo Ning easily dodged a Kainu's attack, taunting while hiding. Damn it, Sengoku and the others were constantly cursing in their hearts. If eyes could kill, Luo Ning would have died countless times. By the way, just to remind you, just now, I accidentally reopened the live phone bug that you turned off, 473, so this scene has been broadcast live. Another sentence from Luo Ning made everyone focus on the direction of the live phone bug. At this moment, everyone noticed that the Marine soldiers and officers around here were already lying on the ground for some reason. And the person holding the phone bug is a clone of Luo Ning, that is to say, everything just now has been broadcast live. It's over. 2 words popped out of Garp's mouth. These 2 words are also the inner voice of all Marines. This time, Marine's reputation is really gone. Ha 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 ha. That's great, that's great. With news like this, the sea will start to boil again. Subordinates archipelago, as well as the reporters on several surrounding islands, have gone crazy, quickly recorded the news, took pictures with phone bugs, and then quickly passed the news to the newspaper. This can't be slow. If it slows down a bit, the business will be robbed by other people, and Marine will definitely stop them, so it must be fast and release the news before the voice of the other party comes. Now they are not afraid that Marine will settle accounts after the fall. After all the newspapers are reporting on this matter. You Marine have the ability to dispose of all the newspapers. Marine has not the guts. So they have become unscrupulous now, but it is still Morgans who make the most profit. Morgans, newspaper offices are all over the sea and everywhere. As a big news, he is now printing newspapers faster than anyone else. Today's explosive news came one after another, and the newspapers were sent out wave after wave. How about it? Is it a surprise? Is it a surprise? Luo Ning asked with a smile. After this wave of operations, Marine's situation will become abysmal. Don't worry about what this guy says, take this guy down. Now the only way for Marine to save face is to take down Luo Ning, and then use the fishing boat to wash the ground. Although there is no guarantee that Marine's reputation will be restored to the previous level, at least the loss can be stopped in time. Of course, all of this is based on the premise of taking down Luo Ning and rescuing the celestial dragons, otherwise their situation will only get worse. After the voice fell, several Marine executives, including Garp, took action again. They can't do anything now, they have no other choice. Although Garp is extremely disdainful of what Marine did this time, he still wants to save Marine's face. Here again, but it's a pity that I don't plan to continue playing with you. What do you think my dozen clones are for? Advertisement. Luo Ning no longer intends to fight a protracted war with these people, and directly links the fantasies of all avatars except the avatar of Kokosha Village. After linking, Luo Ning's fantasy power skyrocketed. Attack those clones. Although I don't know the meaning of these clones, but Luo Ning summoned the clones just before throwing Lu Bu. The specific function of this clone is unknown, but one thing is certain, the number of clones should be related to the power of the tricks used, so after hearing Luo Ning's words, Sengoku directly attacked the clones without thinking. It's too late to react now. The avatars have spread around these people at this moment, forming an encirclement circle. At the moment when Luo Ning's fantasy was activated, the surrounding space changed drastically, and with Luo Ning and these avatars as nodes, a special area was formed. This area is directly transformed into the cosmic starry sky. This is the most heaven-defying ability of the visionary, the fantasy space. Borrowing the fantasy power sharing of a large number of avatars, you can even imagine the universe directly. Although the scope is not large, this area is indeed a real vacuum environment. A human body exposed to a vacuum environment will die in just tens of seconds. Of course, these guys in Pirate World have different physiques, so they won't be taken by dogs so quickly, but this doesn't mean they won't be injured. No matter how powerful you are, you still need oxygen, and in the universe, if you don't empty out the air in your body, it will be very sad. Without fully exhaling the air, their lungs will continue to expand and explode. Even people from the pirate world, hardened with weapons, can't always be in the situation of oxygen disappearing. This space was created by Luo Ning, so they couldn't cross the space, unless the guy from CP9, the fruit of the door, came over and opened the door to send people away, otherwise others couldn't break through the space barrier. I can't breathe, what the hell is going on? At this moment, people in this space can't breathe, and even when they open their mouths, no one can hear the sound, and the sound cannot be transmitted. And soon they felt the changes in their lungs. Fortunately, the people in it all knew armament Haki, which hardened their lungs, so it was not so easy to be blown up. But with the disappearance of oxygen, the Saiyans who were as strong as the Dragon Ball world also need oxygen in the later stage. Without oxygen, no matter how powerful they are, it is useless. 4.0. These people are in a state of extreme hypoxia at this moment, and their bodies are sweating, which is a common phenomenon in the sky. If it weren't for armament Haki, their bodies would have been burned by the radiation. They can resist other problems, but the lack of oxygen is the most critical. Soon, with the consumption of oxygen in their bodies, the veins on their foreheads popped up one by one, and their faces turned red from suffocation, but there was no way to change it. Soon, the weaker he and the others passed out, and at this time Luo Ning also threw them out. To be honest, even if Luo Ning killed them, it wouldn't be too much, but Luo Ning didn't want the sea to completely lose control. He himself hated Roger's behavior, so he kept these guys to continue cultivating new experience for himself, and it was good to stabilize the situation in the sea along the way. Chapter 83 Marine Fiasco. The big prison is independent open black lens bracket first order 8/10 close black lens bracket. Sengoku and others lasted a little longer than the others, but they did not escape the fainting ending. All the high-level Marines fainted, and their bodies were more or less affected. But with the physique of these people in Pirate World, it doesn't have much influence. Luo Ning has made a lot of money this time around, but he is still a little short of the next lottery draw. So Luo Ning set his sights on Shichibukai. You guys, I'll give you a choice, admit defeat or I will fight. Luo Ning didn't care about Sengoku and the others. Afterwards, this group of people was brought back by Aokiji with the Marine soldiers. Aokiji knew that they had lost this time, and the defeat was a complete mess. In addition to restoring these people, the next step is to fight against the pirates and save Marine's face. Anyway, Marine can't be completely paralyzed, what should be done is still to be done. Admit defeat, I don't want to fight with you. Doflamingo simply conceded defeat. Just kidding, didn't you see that almost all of Marine's top management 21 were taken over by one pot? He didn't want to face Luo Ning, so he had to admit it when it was time to admit it. The concubine is not your opponent, and the concubine also admits defeat. Hancock also spoke, not to mention that Luo Ning captured the celestial dragons, she had a slight liking for Luo Ning, and with the fighting power just now, she didn't dare to fight with him. There is no need for a completely impossible and unnecessary battle, admit defeat. Shang was also very straightforward. After that, Moria and Jinbei also conceded defeat, knowing that they would not fight if they couldn't beat them, except for Hawkeye. At this moment, Hawkeye has already twitched the black knife behind his back again. Do you want to fight me? Looking at the eagle-eyed Luo Ning, he asked. That's right, I won't surrender without a fight, but judging by your appearance, it's impossible for me to leave, so I can only fight one game. Hawkeye said, not to mention his reputation as the world's #1 swordsman, but his reputation as a swordsman would not allow him to surrender without a fight, even if the opponent's strength is terrifying. But Hawkeye still struck out. It's a pity that I'm not a swordsman, even the king can be said to be a mess in terms of combat experience. Luo Ning shook his head, he knew what was going on. Of course, this didn't mean that he let Hawkeye go, and he still had to fight. The fighting spirit rose between the two sides, and the others retreated quickly. It is better for the monsters to fight and the others to disperse. I can tell. Hawkeye didn't talk nonsense, and directly slashed out. There was no slash, but the blade slashed towards Luo Ning. To deal with someone like Luo Ning, Hawkeye knew that his slash was useless, so he simply didn't use it and fought in close quarters. Regarding Hawkeye's honesty, Luo Ning is also speechless. Although he can see it, how about giving him some face, is it so straightforward? If he didn't know what Hawkeye's character is, otherwise he might think that Hawkeye is mocking himself. Luo Ning's fist collided with Hawkeye's black knife, and Hawkeye's black knife was completely helpless against Luo Ning's fist. Advertisement. Soon, the black knife was directly blown away by Luo Ning's punch, and the strength gap between the two sides was too great. Luo Ning is an existence that can handle all of Marine's high-level combat power in one pot. Although Hawkeye has good combat power, he is still not Luo Ning's opponent. I lost. Losing is losing. Hawkeye has nothing unacceptable, his only pity is that Luo Ning is not a master of swordsmanship. It's finally all together. Seeing that the progress bar of the lottery draw was full and he got a chance to draw a lottery, Luo Ning also smiled. This time, I received a lot of free points, not to mention the most precious lottery. In the last 2 lottery draws, one was for strength and the other was for practical items, so that no matter where he went, he could easily find whatever he was looking for. This is very good. So what about the 3rd time? In short, he is looking forward to the next lottery draw. By the way, I almost forgot one thing. Magellan, you should give me an answer now. Luo Ning said to Magellan and others who were watching the battle on the other side. Marine still lost, and lost so thoroughly that even the world government has nothing to fear. Magellan made his decision when all of Marine's top brass were defeated. From then on, Impel Down has been subordinated to Master Luo Ning, and it has become a real big prison, independent of all forces, and a hell for criminals that even celestial dragons can accommodate. Magellan is now Luo Ning's person, and directly expressed his opinion, and passed the news of Impel Down independence through the live broadcast. At this moment, no matter whether it was the people at the scene or the people watching the live broadcast, they were all stunned, because this operation is really powerful. Luo Ning occupied the Shanghai prison. From then on, this prison no longer belonged to the world government, but only to Luo Ning. And in this prison, even celestial dragons dare to be imprisoned now, and there is an invincible existence like Luo Ning here, this is the real horror. Well said, now declare the sea, from now on Impel Down is my Luo Ning territory. Impel Down also accepts prisoners sent by Marine, Revolutionary Army or other forces. However, all the prisoners sent must have a clear criminal record, and the big prison will send people to investigate. Don't think about fishing in troubled waters, otherwise you can't afford the consequences. 060 After Luo Ning finished speaking, the audience boiled, and there was a lot of reporters began to write quickly, and the large prison became independent. This is simply an incredible thing. Several batches of newspapers will be sent out this day. What a change, a prison that even celestial dragons can take in, but it's good too. Aokiji looked at the large prison in a daze. Although the large prison is independent, it still accepts prisoners, but Luo Ning's approach also put an end to the practice of sending innocent people in on purpose. Of course, in fact, Luo Ning can also imagine the ability to read minds. As long as he reads minds, he can know whether these prisoners are pretending or not. In addition to Luo Ning himself, there is also Nami. As long as Nami is well developed and cooperates with Thunder Fruit, it can achieve the effect of Enel. There is also Brother Ming, and Luo Ning will also go there in the future. People with the ability to stare fruit also have the ability to read minds, so if you recruit these people, there will be no misjudgments. In short, there are many ways, but he also needs to warn some other people, otherwise it will be bad if the people he brings are a group of innocent people. Just like Luo Ning before him, Luo Ning himself was wronged. If it weren't for this awesome cheat, he would have died on the 1st floor. It is estimated that the corpses would have been fed to the ferocious beasts in Wild Beast Hell. Chapter 84 Katakuri. What if mom wants to trick us? Open black lens bracket first order 9/10 close black lens bracket. Hurry up, distribute these newspapers, this time even the world government can't stop us. On the Morgan's side, at the moment he is urging his subordinates to quickly distribute the newspapers, this time he is really not afraid of the world government. After all, Luo Ning is standing behind him now. The news is about Luo Ning. Once the world government blocks the release of these news, Luo Ning will definitely make trouble for them. Now that Marine has suffered a disastrous defeat, although it is possible for the world government to gather other forces to deal with Luo Ning, they have no way to deal with Luo Ning, so now the world government dare not turn against Luo Ning. Soon, the paper was spreading rapidly through headquarters and branch offices at Morgan's urging. The wave after wave of newspapers on the sea has also made everyone in the forces feel paralyzed. Now many people are waiting for new news. Although Marine was broadcast live, the live broadcast could only spread to the surrounding islands. Some clever people took a picture of it, and while it's not coherent, it can be viewed as a slideshow. But it will take time for these things to spread, and now everyone is waiting for the newspapers. Are there any more newspapers? Red Hair Pirates, Shanks, who considers himself a stable maintainer of the sea, has always been concerned with intelligence. As the newspapers continued to be handed out, Shanks' complexion became worse and worse. It was only now that he got the last newspaper in his hands that his complexion recovered a little. Luo Ning occupied the big prison, and Marine suffered no real damage, just suffered a crushing defeat and a discredited reputation. There hasn't been much change in the main force, so it will recover quickly, although it may be difficult to regain the reputation, but as long as Marine does not stop running, everything will be fine. But he was even more amazed at Luo Ning's strength. Before that, everyone thought that Luo Ning was looking for death. After all, Marine had deployed so much power, but what was the result? Luo Ning slapped everyone directly. Let them know what it means to be strong. One person can make all Marines breathless, and the independence of the large prison has stabilized the situation in the sea, which also makes Chunks breathe a sigh of relief. Although the last news is considered good news, the myth of the celestial dragons has been broken. After that, the celestial dragons will be unlucky. This time, Luo Ning actually helped the revolutionary army. Quote! Beckman couldn't help but smile when he read the contents of the newspaper. Even though they regarded themselves as the key to stabilizing the situation, they would be happy to see celestial dragons being unlucky. Unless they belong to the same kind of people as celestial dragons, no one will look down on celestial dragons. Of course, there are also some people in celestial dragons who look down on celestial dragons. For example, Brother Ming, and the celestial dragons who were rescued by Princess Otahime on the Fishman Island. The celestial dragons had changed their ways, and Princess Otahime had indeed successfully saved the celestial dragons. I would love to see the celestial dragons being unlucky. It is estimated that those celestial dragons will hide in their holy places and dare not come out, but they also have to pray that Luo Ning will not catch another batch of celestial dragons. Everyone on the red-haired side laughed. IWC, Cake Island. It actually defeated Marine, and even occupied the big prison. Mom, we should warn our people not to provoke this monster. After reading the newspaper, Katakuri was also a little dazed. He had never seen such a fierce man, and it was too dark. One man defeated all the Marines. This man is very strong, Katakuri. Send him an invitation to the tea party. Also, my daughters, let him pick one who is not married. Obviously, the aunt had the idea of getting married, but as soon as she said this, the entire hall was silent. Advertisement. What's wrong? Are you all dumb? Seeing that none of her sons spoke, the aunt became dissatisfied. No, Mom, I was just thinking, what if the other party refuses? Katakuri is also sweating coldly at this moment, making a tough guy like him sweat coldly, which shows how broken his heart is now. Others are lying to their fathers and mothers, and when they come to their side, they become cheating sons and daughters. Usually, if the aunt intends to send someone an invitation to the tea party, they will send it without hesitation and follow the process. If the other party refuses, then let the other party regret it, but this time is different. This time, they are facing Luo Ning, who has defeated the entire Marine by himself. To put it bluntly, he can defeat Marine by himself, and of course he can easily defeat their entire family by himself. Katakuri doesn't think that these people in his family have the strength to compete with Marine. They couldn't compete with Marine, so naturally they couldn't compete with Luo Ning. Reject. If you refuse, let him pay the price. The ant is completely brainless. In fact, this is also very normal. The ant in the original book really has no brains at all, and comes to everything whenever she thinks of it, completely disregarding any consequences. If this 10,000 kingdoms had not been managed well by others, it would have collapsed long ago. To put it bluntly, Big Mom's status in Wangguo is equivalent to a super weapon, which only serves as a deterrent. As for other jobs, it has nothing to do with Big Mom. Mom, even if we are the whole family, we are not opponents of each other. Katakuri said helplessly that his mother was as reckless as ever and never cared about the consequences. There are really many such people in the pirate world, and Big Mom and Jack are typical representatives. You mean, my mother is afraid of that guy? Big Mom's death gaze swept over everyone, and everyone shook their heads immediately. No, since Mom let the other party get married, it's for the other party's face, and I will deal with this matter. Katakuri didn't dare to argue with the ant. He knew that his entire family was no match for the other party, but he didn't dare to stroke the tiger's beard now, otherwise he would be troubled by the ant. He can't afford to offend both parties, so now he can only agree to it first and then figure out a way. That's good, hurry up and do it. Mom started eating dessert again. Katakuri and the others also left the hall. Katakuri, big brother, are we really going to send an invitation letter next? Once we offend the other party, there is a high probability that the kingdom will disappear. Smoothie looked at Katakuri and asked. Everyone here knew that Katakuri was deliberately diverting Big Mom's attention just now. First agree, and then think of a way, but they really can't think of any way, so they can only look at Katakuri's ideas. To tell you the truth, I don't know what to do. Just now, I just kept my mother safe. Katakuri said helplessly. Chapter 85. Revolutionary Army's idea of cooperation. Open black lens bracket. First order 10 out of 10 close black lens bracket. It's also right to do so. If my mother got angry just now, all of us will be in bad luck. Cracker also nodded. No matter what to do next, just stabilize the ant now, and then talk about other things. No way, I can only think of a way in the future. Everyone think about what a good way to do. Damn it, if I knew the news, I should have kept it from my mother. We can't afford to provoke such a strong man. Katakuri is also helpless. He would have concealed the news if he knew it earlier, but to be honest, such an idea is just thinking about it. There will always be people who will report the news in order to please the ant, and there will always be short-sighted bastards who will not settle accounts. In this way, people of some status in all countries began to ponder what to do next. In the current situation, if someone takes a fancy to one of the ant's daughters, it's okay to say, if they don't like it, then there will be a lot of conflicts, and there may be a war at that time, and the probability of Wang Guo being defeated is almost full. There are even people who are thinking about leaving a way out. Once things can't be done, they will just leave Wang Guo, a place of right and wrong. No matter what happens in the future, it is better than dying now. A group of sons and daughters on Wang Guo's side were troubled by the ant's tricks, and Kaido and Whitebeard also ordered that no one should provoke Luo Ning. Kaido is smarter than anyone else, so he ordered as quickly as possible to keep his subordinates from dying. 353. Specially warned Jack, this B****************** D, this guy dared to go by any ship, if one day it would be terrible if he came close to Luo Ning's ship, he warned Jack a lot. Almost all forces dare not provoke Luo Ning now, and the big prison has become a forbidden place. No one from any force dared to go to the big prison, unless it was to escort criminals. But the opposite is the island of white soil. Maybe we can find him to cooperate. His style of acting is actually somewhat similar to ours. Long looked at the information in the newspaper. At the moment he was only surrounded by Sabo, other than that, none of the other army commanders. They were all trying to liberate as many as possible while the Marine and world government's attention was attracted by Luo Ning Kingdom. So now most of the revolutionary army has been sent out, and only Long and Sabo are still there, waiting to see the situation. Let's call Uncle Shang and let Uncle Shang get in touch with Luo Ning, maybe we can pull him to our side. Sabo said, as the second in command of the revolutionary army and the chief of staff, his vision is not weak. Although he was not rigorous in his work later, someone, CBBD, actually got to the headquarters of the revolutionary army and let the headquarters of Beidou Island was destroyed. Indeed, the bear is the closest to there now, try to contact it. Long took out the phone bug, and after the phone bug rang for a while, he hung up the phone bug decisively. Shang is a member of the revolutionary army. Few people know about this matter. The phone bug is carried with him. If it rings a few times but is not connected, it means that the location of the other party is not suitable for talking, so Long hangs up. After that, it is enough for Shang to take the initiative to contact them. They have always been like this. After all, he is the leader of the revolutionary army. Once Shang's identity is exposed because of himself, the consequences will be bad. In this way, Long and Sabo have been waiting for the phone bug to connect. Soon, the phone rang, and Long quickly answered it. At this moment, the bear had already returned to his boat. I know, I'll go find him. Knowing Long's thoughts, Shang couldn't help admiring, these guys from the newspaper office are really exaggerating. Not long after the battle on their side, this newspaper spread out, it's really amazing. Advertisement. At this moment, the ice on the sea has been dispersed by Aokiji, everyone should leave, Marine has gone back to the headquarters, and Shichibukai have also dispersed. Hancock chose to stay. At this moment, the bear is also returning to here. The reason why Hancock stays is celestial dragons. She is not so easy to be captured. Now she has a little affection for Luo Ning at most, just a little awe of Luo Ning's strength. The purpose of her stay is to see how Luo Ning handles these celestial dragons. She has fear and hatred for celestial dragons, and the feeling is that fear is greater than hatred, but now Luo Ning has broken the myth of celestial dragons. So she hates celestial dragons more than fear at the moment. So she is communicating with the people in Impel Down, and wants to see with her own eyes how those celestial dragons are tortured. Lord Luo Ning, one of the Shichibukai Boa Hancock wants to see the situation of the celestial dragons, shall we allow it? The matter was quickly reported to Luo Ning, after all, Luo Ning is the boss now. Hancock. To be honest, I still have a good impression of this Empress Luo Ning. Undoubtedly, she is good looking and has a good figure, and if she falls in love with someone, she will give up her heart. But what he doesn't like about Hancock is all about Hancock's identity. Hancock is a pirate, and a big one at that. Although Hancock is pretty, Luo Ning doesn't care much now. There are too many beauties in One Piece world. Although Hancock is very popular, it doesn't mean that Luo Ning has no bottom line. Let her go back and arrest her if she is a stalker. Also, tell her that if she loses her pirate status and becomes her king, Impel Down welcomes her. If she continues to be a pirate, people who are Impel Down will also meet her in the future. Straight to arrest. Luo Ning didn't bother to care about it either, as long as Hancock's pirate status was still there, he wouldn't look good towards Hancock. Fortunately, Hancock and the others do not engage in human trafficking business. Some of the population of Nine Snake Island are women who leave and then come back with pregnancy, and the children born are all women. This is mentioned in the original book. If it is not mentioned, then the population of Nine Snake Island may be trafficked. Luo Ning has zero tolerance for human traffickers. It is okay if he does not see it. Up. The prototype of Nine Snake Island is the daughter country in Journey to the West, but it is a pity that they do not have the Zimu Spring in the daughter country. In fact, Luo Ning intends to live broadcast the results of the execution of celestial dragons, and it is estimated that the sea will boil again by then. But Hancock's request would not be granted. Soon, Luo Ning's reply was reported to Hancock by the jailer, and Impel Down's current jailer, Magellan, gave them the choice to leave directly. After all, Impel Down is independent. However, few people choose to leave. Those who work here rarely have families, and they all have a strong sense of responsibility. They also admire Luo Ning to the extreme at this moment, so few people leave. Luo Ning also directly doubled the wages of these people. After all, money is just a number to Luo Ning. He has as much as he wants, and these gold and other things manifested by the power of fantasy will not disappear, so naturally he has to treat his own people better. Chapter 86 The third lottery draw, making up for shortcomings. Open black lens bracket subscription 1/10 close black lens bracket. Is it because I don't want to see my concubine so much because of my identity as a pirate? Hancock, who got the reply, was also taken aback. Her charm rarely fails. In this sea, many people will give her face because of the charm of sweet fruits. Otherwise, to be honest, there are not many people who look no worse than her. Please leave immediately, or we will arrest you. Here, no one will care about your Shichibukai status. The person who spoke back was Sadie-chan, a man facing Hancock. Few people could resist her charm. Although Hancock generally takes all men and women, as long as she doesn't take the initiative to activate the ability, Sadie-chan can still resist this charm. At this moment, Sadie-chan also feels that his status is rising rapidly. If it were changed before, Shichibukai appeared in the big prison, although they need to act according to their rules, but they usually keep a low voice when facing Shichibukai. You must know that Shichibukai is just a pirate. Although it is a legal pirate, in the original book, when Hancock came to the prison, Magellan came out to greet him. You must know that he is the highest officer of Impel Down. In Naval Headquarters, such a scene will not happen, the most is Vice Admiral entertaining. From this we can see how helpless the Impel Down was at the beginning. It's so sad. This is true for Magellan, not to mention Sadie-chan. Sadie-chan feels that he has the confidence to speak at the moment. After all, there is a big boss standing behind you. If you have the ability to mess around and force your way, you will end up living in Impel Down as a prisoner. Sister. Hancock's two younger sisters looked at Hancock. At this moment, they could only pray that Hancock would stop messing around. They might not have said much before, but now they are facing the terrifying existence of one person crushing the entire marine. People with higher Hancock's charisma will be less affected. They don't want Hancock to make any big incidents at this time. If the Emperor of Nine Snakes is captured, the consequences will be disastrous. Needless to say, return. Hancock's expression was a bit complicated. Although she was proud, she was not stupid. She knew what consequences she might cause if she continued to be willful. The other party even asked a subordinate to answer. So she didn't dare to say anything now, and left Impel Down directly. It's a pity that he actually left. It would be great if he continued to mess around and let the adults catch this guy. I'm very interested in this pirate empress. As a Super S queen, Sadie-chan said such words at this moment, which made the guards around him burst into cold sweat. They are members of the big prison. Don't look at Sadie-chan's good looks, good figure, and usually talk very attractive, but she is a Super S queen. Some people who just came here and don't know about it even try to chase her. As a result, he became honest after eating a whip. They don't know what kind of person can win each other. Anyway, they definitely can't. Head of the jail, it seems that another ship has arrived. Soon another ship was spotted. Again, are you sure who it is? Sadie-chan was also taken aback. It's outrageous that there are still people here at this time. It's Shichibukai Tyrant Bear, and he's back. The identity of the other party was quickly confirmed and Sadie-chan was stunned. She couldn't understand these Shichibukai's thoughts. Could it be that this person also intends to see how celestial dragons are treated? Advertisement. She didn't leave directly either, just waiting here to hear what the other party wanted to do. As for whether the other party dares to fight here, don't be ridiculous. Few people dare to do it in Impel Down now. As for the Tyrant Bear, if you want to do it, you did it a while ago, why wait until now? On the other side, Luo Ning sent 2 clones out to pick up Nami and Robin. After sending them to Sky Island, Luo Ning took back the clones without any danger and did not keep them. The only clone left is the one in Kokosha village. Even now Luo Ning has not taken back that clone, just in case. Although Marine wouldn't do it again as long as he had a good mind, and Kokosha village has attracted much attention because of this incident, and other people will not dare to mess around in the future. But just in case, Luo Ning still kept the clone. That avatar was hidden. Luo Ning withdrew some fantasies, and now that avatar has no fighting power. Only when something happens will the main body of Luo Ning be contacted, and then Luo Ning will exert illusions on it. Asking for flowers. Because the avatar was created by Luo Ning himself, no matter where it is, it can accept the enhancement of the power of fantasy. It doesn't need Luo Ning to touch the other party like other people. After sending 2 clones out, Luo Ning started to draw the lottery, and he thought he had saved enough chances for the 3rd lottery draw. It's really timely rain. This thing is so useful to me. Luo Ning was also a little excited when he saw what he had drawn. The thing Luo Ning had drawn was called the training ground. It's a very simple name. This is a place for training combat experience, and this is also Luo Ning's biggest shortcoming. Although he has almost invincible strength in this world, his combat experience can be described as a mess. 0. His situation is similar to that of Otsutsuki Kagaya in the Hokage world, where he wins with absolute strength. This training ground can create different enemies, which can be defined by Luo Ning himself, those strong people in memory, or can be automatically generated by the training ground, and the most important thing about this thing is that not only Luo Ning can use it. As long as Luo Ning's permission is obtained, other people can also use it to enter the internal training, and the time ratio is completely different, 1 day outside and 1 year inside. This is simply a great benefit for the fighting madman. Of course, you can't stay in it for training all the time, otherwise your body's lifespan will be consumed. At this moment, Luo Ning has a small virtual metal house in his hands. This thing can be placed somewhere. It does not occupy a large area, but the internal space is indeed infinite. And it can be recycled at any time, and you can take it away if you want, which is quite convenient. In addition, without Luo Ning's permission, no one can enter, and it cannot be destroyed. This thing is simply an artifact. After Luo Ning took a look, he left his villa and found a place next to him to put down the training ground directly. From the appearance, this thing is one piece, shining with metallic luster, like a small room completely made of metal. Some jailers around were also very curious when they saw this scene, but no one dared to approach casually. After all, Luo Ning's reputation was too loud, and his previous behavior was too terrifying. This is their highest officer, so naturally they dared not go overboard. Chapter 87 Dragon's Cooperation Request Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription 2/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. My lord, Shichibukai Boa Hancock has left, but Shichibukai Tyrant Bear is back and wants to meet you. Just when Luo Ning put down the training ground and was about to go in for a try, suddenly Sadi-chan came in again with news. Bear, I see, let him in. After Luo Ning heard that it was Shang, he knew what was going on. Shang was a member of the Revolutionary Army. After he left, he came back again. It must be because someone from the Revolutionary Army contacted him. Luo Ning is not disgusted with the Revolutionary Army of Pirate World, on the contrary, he is somewhat optimistic. At least in his understanding, the Revolutionary Army of this world will not bring in all foreigners like Zonkai World. No matter how much you fight internally, there must be a bottom line. What is the meaning of the existence of the Revolutionary Army? Isn't it just to liberate the people? But the Revolutionary Army in the Red World completely deviated from the main line of 963, and only wanted to overturn it. Empire. Their purpose is to defeat Dominion, replace the Empire, and even borrow the power of foreign races to lure wolves into the house, which is simply disgusting. As for the pirates, at least what Luo Ning saw was positive. I dare not say that the Revolutionary Army led by Long must have no flaws at all, but at least it is much better than Zonchi's world. So Luo Ning doesn't mind seeing Shang now. Anyway, it is certain that the Revolutionary Army will replace the world government in the future. He didn't have the kind of idea of competing in the world, just have a big prison as a shelter. Yes, I will let him leave now. Wait, sir, did you just say let him come to see you? Sadi-chan originally thought that Luo Ning would go to FK the bear just like driving Hancock away, but she never expected that Luo Ning would actually plan to meet the bear, which made her a little fooled. You will know the specific reason later, let him in. Luo Ning didn't explain too much. Although Impel Down is his territory, it is impossible to say that there is no Marine's eyeliner here. Someone will definitely choose to be a spy in the future. After all, money is touching. Luo Ning doubled their salaries, but there will always be someone who will give a higher price. There is no windfall and no wealth, and some are greedy. Naturally, Luo Ning can't control this. But he is not afraid of those guys, so what if there are spies? Does Luo Ning care? No. As long as you have the power to overturn the chessboard, no matter how much advantage you have on the chessboard, it will be nothing in the end. Soon, Shang came to Luo Ning's villa, and the two met in the courtyard, mainly because Luo Ning's door really couldn't fit in a man as big as Shang. The height of the people in this world is really strange, and they don't have the blood of the Titan race, they are only a few meters at a time. Luo Ning is not short, but in front of these people, he is really a little bit. We met again, let's get straight to the point, did the dragon send you here? Luo Ning asked directly, this sentence directly made Shang's movement stiff. You know, Shang asked with some doubts. Not many people knew that he was a member of the Revolutionary Army, and he was completely hidden from the outside world. How did Luo Ning know? I know, as for the reason, you don't need to worry about it, just tell me the purpose of your coming. Luo Ning said indifferently, and then used his fantasy power to condense tables, chairs and tea. Well, although this mug can't get tired of his head. Advertisement. Let the dragon speak to you. Shang directly took out a phone bug, and then called. It is better for the leader of the Revolutionary Army to say this matter. Soon, the phone bug dialed, and the voice of the dragon came from the other side of the phone bug. Mr. Luo Ning, I'm really sorry. I should have been there, but my status is quite special, and I'm not close to your location, so I can only let Shang do it for me. Long puts his posture very low, there is no way, such a person who can easily overturn the Marine chessboard can also easily overturn their Revolutionary Army chessboard. The only thing I don't understand now is whether Luo Ning is from the world government opponent, how many whole cards are hidden inside the world government. But even so, Luo Ning's strength has successfully made Luo Ning surpass Roger's one piece. Any force has to be cautious when facing Luo Ning. Hello, Mr. Long, I don't like to beat around the bush when I talk. Tell me what you want to do. Luo Ning said with a smile, and his words made Long a little helpless. Long is a politician. As a politician, Long's negotiation skills are naturally full. But now Luo Ning is completely out of routine, which makes him very helpless. Originally, he planned to make a fool of himself with Luo Ning and use his negotiating skills that were basically full, but this straight to the point directly disrupted his plan. It's the first time I've seen Mr. Luo Ning, you are so straightforward, so let me just say it, I want to invite Mr. Luo Ning to join the Revolutionary Army. Long started to test. Although he knew that the probability of success was close to zero, he still had a little fantasy. Forget it, I'm here. Impel Down is fine. Luo Ning directly rejected the dragon. That's really a pity. If we had Mr. Luo Ning's help, our Revolutionary Army would not be as passive as it is now, but I still want to cooperate with Mr. Luo Ning. Long shook his head helplessly, it really was his own imagination. How do you want to cooperate? Or what can you give me? Luo Ning's words directly silenced Long. Indeed, what Luo Ning wants now is what they want, and what their Revolutionary Army wants is nothing. He wants to borrow Luo Ning's power, but he must have a bargaining chip that can impress Luo Ning. I don't know what we have that can make Mr. Luo Ning fancy. After all, Mr. Luo Ning knows the situation of our Revolutionary Army. Long couldn't help but slapped himself on the forehead, and made such a big mistake, mainly because he was a little too excited to see Luo Ning's strength performance at 3.6 before, so that he directly forgot about it. Without enough bargaining chips, how can you get the other party to help you and others? Isn't this nonsense? It seems that Mr. Long hasn't made up his mind yet. I have a proposal. Open the intelligence system of your Revolutionary Army to me. I can lend you some power when you need it. Luo Ning said that although he can walk sideways on the sea, intelligence is also very important, although he also cooperates with Morgans. But the intelligence network on the Revolutionary Army's side is not weak, and the two are compatible, and there will always be something that can make up for it. Luo Ning needs to have enough information to prevent someone from suddenly attacking himself and the people around him one day. Although he is not very afraid, it is definitely better to know in advance and prevent problems before they happen. Chapter 88 Trial Training Ground Open black lens bracket Subscription 3/10 close black lens bracket. Intelligence Network. I see. Yes. Long is also a little confused now, because the intelligence network is really nothing special. Luo Ning really helps him wait for others, so sharing an intelligence network is simply profitable. In his opinion, this is like buying goods worth 10,000 Baileys for 1 Bailey. There is one thing that needs to be discussed with you first. When I say help you, it is when you are in a dangerous situation, instead of helping you deal with the garbage all the time. You don't have such a bargaining chip, understand? Luo Ning warned that he would not do free work for the other party. The intelligence network seemed important, but to the Revolutionary Army, it was nothing to put it bluntly. Their own intelligence also needed to operate. It's just sharing one more person, and Luo Ning will let them pay attention to some information when they need it. Other than that, there is nothing, so the Revolutionary Army didn't pay much at all. That being the case, Luo Ning naturally wouldn't do much to help them. 21. I know this very well, so I wish us a happy cooperation. Long also knows very well that although it is a pity, it is already very good to be able to talk about this step. By the way, there is another point. If you have the historical text, you can send it to me. Nico Robin is here. I need the historical text. As for the content of the interpretation, I can give you a copy. Luo Ning suddenly remembered and agreed to Robin's historical text, although the compass in his hand could be easily found. But it's not necessary, the Revolutionary Army must have some, so just use this part. To be honest, Luo Ning has no interest in the so-called historical texts at all. Nico Robin is on Mr. Luo Ning's side. I see, I will send the text of the history as soon as possible. At this moment, Luo Ning clearly felt that the tone of Long's voice had changed. If the Dragon's Revolution wants to succeed, it must start with the part that the world government fears the most. What is the world government most afraid of? It is the blank 100 years. What did they do in the past 100 years? To be honest, Luo Ning is only interested to make the world government so afraid of news leaking out. It is obvious that there is a big secret hidden in it. Once this blank 100 years is exposed, it is estimated that their foundation will be shaken, so what will shake the world government after more than 800 years? You must know that people in that era are basically dead, unless there are people left by the immortal surgery. But up to now, there is no clear who is who, because the guess is 5 elders and I am. The world government has existed for more than 800 years and wants to shake their roots. Unless the world government has done something to exterminate human beings in those 100 years, how could it shake them? They don't care about how many dirty things they have done, they only care about this 100 years of blank history. Long has always believed that as long as he and others get this piece of history, they can definitely shake the foundation of the world government. This is their idea, so Nico Robin, the only person on the bright side who can understand the text of history, has always been regarded by them as a guiding light. But Robin's evasion skills are full, even the Marine and world government can't find her, and they can't catch her, and they are called the Revolutionary Army. Now I finally got the news, but I didn't expect it to be on Luo Ning's side. Now Long's idea is to collect historical texts as much as possible. In this way, it will only benefit him and not harm him. Advertisement. Soon, after the two talked again for a while, Long hung up the phone, and Shang didn't stay any longer. Shang's ability was so buggy that he was banned in the later stage. Otherwise, Shang would be like a super support. When he was in danger, he would slap people away with a slap, and no one else could stop him. There are also pains and so on, just shoot the bear's paw, and the bear's ability is really perverted to the extreme. So this product was banned. He even became a slave of celestial dragons in the end, but Luo Ning didn't remind him. After all, it was his own choice, and he had nothing to do with Shang, so naturally he didn't need to persuade him. After Shang left, Luo Ning came to the metal training ground, and then directly opened the metal gate. The metal gate seemed to be intelligently recognized, and Luo Ning opened it automatically when he came to the gate. A piece of whiteness. Inside, there was endless white, dazzling white, but Luo Ning saw a light screen appearing in front of him. This light screen could freely choose what kind of opponent and what kind of environment to create. This series can be designed casually. This is interesting, this can be regarded as a small cheat. Looking at the interface in front of him, Luo Ning tried to choose, and then the surrounding environment changed directly to Naval Headquarters, and the enemy he created was Garp. But this Garp is as strong as him. Then let's try. Luo Ning created this Garp whose strength was comparable to his own, and then tried it. The moment the battle started, Garp's figure disappeared directly at a very fast speed. Although Luo Ning could clearly see the opponent's trajectory, he waited until he tried to resist. The created Garp deviates from the route and chooses to attack the other side in a strange way. Then Luo Ning was punched hard in the waist. Are you so pervert? Garp changed his movements too fast. A Garp of this strength is simply a nightmare. Luo Ning was hit directly, and after being hit, it was like a chain reaction. Garp's attacks can be described as an endless stream. Luo Ning resisted a few moves with his visionary ability, and then was directly defeated. Hiss. It seems that next time we need to do what we can. The difference in combat experience is too much. Training here, although the people created will not kill people, they will also injure people. Fortunately, Luo Ning can make him recover quickly, but facing Garp with the same strength as himself, Luo Ning really has nothing to do. The difference in strength between the two parties is too great. If it weren't for the more comprehensive and weird abilities of the visionary, Luo Ning suspects that he would collapse in one shot. However, Luo Ning was not discouraged either. This battle experience was accumulated. He lowered Garp's strength a bit and continued to fight. In addition to Garp, there are also a group of high-level powerhouses in Marine. This practice lasted almost 20 hours, but to the outside world, it only took a few minutes. This thing can only be said to be quite useful. Chapter 89 Surprise Magellan and others open black lens bracket subscription 4/10 close black lens bracket. The jet lag is really a little unaccustomed. Luo Ning looked at the outside world that had only passed for a few minutes. He had practiced there for almost 20 hours, but the outside world hadn't changed much. He was really uncomfortable at first. However, Luo Ning is not mentally exhausted now. At his level, even if he does not sleep for a month, he is full of energy. After that, Luo Ning found Magellan and other high-level executives. Master Luo Ning, do you have any orders? Hearing that Luo Ning was looking for him and the others, Magellan asked curiously first. Come with me and take you to a good place. You are my subordinates anyway, so you can't be too weak. After speaking, Luo Ning brought this group of people to the training ground. These people are the wardens of all levels and the director and deputy director. The only thing missing is Shiryu, who was planning to run away after the battle, but was dealt with by Magellan first. He is currently in prison on the 6th floor. After giving Magellan and others permission, everyone entered the training ground, and then Luo Ning told them about the usage and characteristics of the training ground, which shocked Magellan and others. How can there be such a magical place in this? All the top executives of Impel Down were stunned. This training ground is simply a magic weapon. Luo Ning is not worried that they will leak the news. It doesn't matter if it leaks. This thing is indestructible, at least no one in this world can destroy it. And you need the permission given by Luo Ning to enter, otherwise it's useless to know. It's a great place, so if I have diarrhea in the future, can't I come here and then go out after I have diarrhea? Magellan suddenly spoke his mind. First of all, you can have diarrhea, but you need to clean it yourself. Secondly, this place consumes your lifespan. If you stay here for 10 hours, it is equivalent to passing through 10 hours outside. It doesn't make much difference if you save the time of the outside world. Of course, it is indeed more convenient in comparison. At least it saves a lot of time in the outside world. However, I still have one thing to say. I think you should work hard to improve your physique. Although some devil fruits do have some negative things, they are not as exaggerated as you. You can try to improve your physique, in this way, not to mention completely eliminating the side effects of devil fruit, but it should be able to weaken the effect of the toxin on you. Luo Ning lost a game, and Magellan's diarrhea took too long. Among those devil fruits, in Luo Ning's opinion, this side effect is the most exaggerated. It can be said that almost half of Magellan's life was spent in the toilet, and he was drunk just thinking about it. This fruit is indeed quite pitted. I'll give it a try. Magellan nodded. With this thing, your work outside can be brought in and processed quickly, and you will have more time to practice afterwards. Magellan spent most of the day in the toilet and sleeping, and the rest of the time was working time. There is no time for exercise here, and work is every day. As long as he stays in this training ground, Magellan will have a lot of time to train. In this way, the side effects of his ability should be alleviated. Advertisement. After finishing speaking, Luo Ning left, leaving this group of people here to train. As for himself, he has just trained for so long, and he needs to take a break. Luo Ning still has a lot of free points in his hands now. Luo Ning used half of these free points to strengthen them. For things like combat power, the stronger the better, as for the rest, they were used to weaken the flaws of visionaries. For example, the distraction of fantasies, inattention, will lead to the interruption of fantasies. Before that, Garp and Sengoku tried their best to distract Luo Ning's attention. As a result, Luo Ning simply focused on one, regardless of the other's attack, but this cannot be used for the same level. So Luo Ning began to use part of the free points to optimize capabilities. This part is free to invest in. Although it has not been fully optimized, he does not need to concentrate as before, and it doesn't matter if he is a little scattered. That's the beauty of optimization. And he can imagine more now, even if there were a large number of clones before, providing a lot of fantasy power, but he still needs to be able to use it for fantasy. Luo Ning can imagine the cosmic space, but that's just a fantasy space. If Luo Ning gives himself fantasy ability, then there is a certain upper limit, and now, this upper limit has been raised after the ability optimization. Luo Ning can imagine more abilities at the same time. All in all, there are only advantages and no disadvantages. And physical fitness and Reiatsu have also improved a lot. Luo Ning reckoned that with his current strength, he could easily push Kaido to the ground and explode with a hammer, and it was an unimaginable ability. His physical strength, defense, etc. had already reached a terrifying level. On the other side, Luo Ning's clone came to Sky Island again. At this moment, Nami is working hard to train his abilities. As for Robin, on the one hand, he is developing his own abilities, and on the other hand, he is trying his best to understand Sky Island's historical collection and so on. Until Luo Ning's doppelganger came again. Luo Ning even forgot to give the two of them a complete phone bug before. After all, Luo Ning usually doesn't use such things as a phone. So much so that the news could not reach Sky Island. However, after the Avatar arrived, both Nami and Robin breathed a sigh of relief. Nami breathed a sigh of relief because she was worried about Luo Ning. As for Robin, it was not because she was worried about Luo Ning, but because she was worried that her backer would not be killed. Although there is a natural barrier in Sky Island, Robin's purpose is to find the text of history. If Luo Ning has enough strength to resist the enemy, then it will be good news for her. She doesn't need to care about the world government and can continue to search for those historical texts. So she was relieved because the backer was still there. After that, the two avatars left Sky Island with the two of them and returned to Impel Down, and it didn't take long. Although it takes a lot of time to sail the boat, the avatar can fly. With Luo Ning's current strength, the speed of fantasy flight is quite fast, and with the fantasy protection, there is no need to worry that Nami and Robin can't stand it. So the speed of going back and forth was very fast. Nami and Robin came to Impel Down. Robin was a little scared at first. But after hearing a series of news, Robin was really shocked, and Luo Ning was really terrified to the extreme. Chapter 90 Follow-up of World Government Open Black Lens Bracket Subscription 5/10 Close Black Lens Bracket. I didn't expect you to actually do it, and let Impel Down be directly independent from other forces. Now even the world government dare not say anything. To be honest, even though Robin saw this with his own eyes, he still felt a little unreal. If in the past, someone told her that Marine was subdued by force, she would never believe it, but now, she can't believe it. Luo Ning's series of operations is really shocking. They can't deal with me now, so they don't dare to say anything more, and even if I do something too much now, the world government won't dare to say anything. Luo Ning said that the world government must have some cards in their hands, but this kind of cards cannot be used casually. With Luo Ning's strength and the current situation, the world government is probably blinded now. The only thing they can do is not to conflict with Luo Ning. In fact, just as Luo Ning thought, after receiving the news from Mariajoy, the five elders were all silent, and they didn't know what to do next. Although Marine is only a part of their strength, 240 is not a small force. They have their cards right, but these cards are not necessarily stronger than Marine except for the Uranus held by IM. So now they are blinded, and Marine has completely collapsed, and they are no match at all. As for their side, they can't use any strength to deal with Luo Ning. Go see Master IM. This matter has risen to a level that we cannot deal with. One of the five elders broke the silence, and then the others nodded quickly, and then went to see IM, and told what happened and what happened this time. Let Marine's people take care of their subordinates, causing such a big trouble. As for this trouble, don't worry about it, don't conflict with him. IM didn't plan to deal with Luo Ning, the price was too high, and he didn't know the details, so he couldn't deal with Luo Ning at all. Just like the previous Marine, they chose to stand in a stalemate with Luo Ning. As long as Luo Ning doesn't do anything excessive, there will be nothing against Luo Ning. But once Luo Ning messes around, like when he caught celestial dragons before, it will explode. Now that things have developed to this situation, as long as Luo Ning does not form an army to overthrow the world government like the Revolutionary Army, then there is no need for IM to target Luo Ning. But, Master IM, Nico Robin is in the opponent's hands. A member of the five elders said that Robin's matter was blind to other forces, but Marine had grasped the news on Luo Ning's side. Don't worry about it, it's just a person who can understand the text of history, collect those texts of history. IM also doesn't want to start a war with Luo Ning because of Robin, he just needs to block the source. Moreover, some of the most critical historical texts have indeed been collected by them. As for the rest, the world government has been looking for the ones that can be obtained and will never release them. Without the historical text, what is the use of Robin's interpretation ability? So he is not very worried. The most important thing now is not to have any conflicts with Luo Ning, otherwise he will cause big troubles, which is not what he wants to see. Yes, obey. The 5 elders left after responding, and then did what to do according to Im's order. On the Marine side, Sengoku and others who returned to Naval Headquarters were also very helpless after they woke up. Afterwards Sengoku made a decision, he planned to step down, and took all the charges on himself. Advertisement. This is also the only way. If this continues, Marine's reputation will be completely stinky, so now it needs to be restored, and the way to restore it is to take the blame alone. And Sengoku, CBBC, is tired now. Originally he planned to observe for a while to find the right person. But now there is no election, the position of marshal can only be borne from the 3 admirals, Kizaru will withdraw directly, and Aokiji's combat power will be damaged, so there will only be one Akainu left. After he was charged with these crimes, he stepped back directly, saying that he was dismissed and investigated. This is not a big problem. Once the explanation is clear, the day and night will be solved. Sengoku's actions made him bear a lot of infamy, but Sengoku doesn't care anymore, and it's not bad to be able to bring some benefits to Marine in the end. Although I have been burdened with a lot of infamy, it is indeed a lot easier after I retire. Sengoku remained at Naval Headquarters after his abdication. You have been asked to give up this position a long time ago. Could it be that you can manage Marine for the rest of your life? How is this possible? Garp could see it, but he also acted carelessly, but it was precisely because of this that he didn't have any troubles. Everyone is like you, Marine is already finished. Sengoku rolled his eyes. By the way, Zephyr took a group of people to join Impel Down, why don't you say something? Garp asked. After they were defeated, Zephyr also left directly with some diehards. This is the team that formed the new Marine in Zephyr's original book. But this time Zephyr brought more people to leave, because Marine was ashamed this time, and many Marines were shaken. There are even quite a few people who choose to leave Marine. It was not so simple in the past, but this time the disturbance is so big that Marine executives dare not stop it, so Marine has also been affected to a certain extent this time. And Zephyr also went to seek refuge with Luo Ning. From Zephyr's point of view, Marine is no longer suitable for him. On the contrary, Luo Ning, who even dared to catch celestial dragons, now Impel Down is the place where his justice desires. Luo Ning had invited him before, so he also made a decision, and no one dared to stop him. What is he going to do? Can we still stop it now? But that's okay, although the monster caused us Marine to suffer such a big loss, it is more or less on the side of justice. As long as it's not a pirate. Sengoku is too lazy to bother, he is not the marshal now, the marshal is Akainu, it is enough to leave these problems to Akainu, he has already carried such a big blame, we can't let him do it. Up, that's right, the old boy Zephyr can think about it. Garp said nothing after a laugh. Marine and world government are busy with their own affairs now, especially Marine, who is so busy now that no one cares about Zephyr taking people away. So they can only let Zephyr leave, and now they are busy dealing with the pirates and saving Marine's face.